Okay. Yes, boss. Good point, Stephanie. So I'm just going to make the privacy. All right. I'm just going to make. Edit privacy. I'm just making it so everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Especially the haters that will come on when it's not live anymore to watch it.
Yeah, no, they'll watch it back. They'll be here.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. All right, good deal. So we're live and we'll allow people a few minutes to jump on here.
Cool.
What's up, Susan, Jessica? I don't know if you could see the comments. There's something you could hit there that will allow you to see the conversation.
I would love to. Let me see if I can unga bunga my way through this.
Yeah, and if not, then I could always post the question or comment.
Oh, wait.
Too, so you can
Yeah,
see
I think I did it. Oh, shit.
Right.
Okay.
Look at you go, bro.
Yeah, dude, I'm killing it. Let's go.
Killing it.
Giovanni's in the chat. Jessica's in the chat. Let's go.
What's up, Brad, James, Justin? Yeah, there'll be a lot of people here, you know. But like I said, I think there'll be more after. The haters will come on when it's not live because they don't want us to see, you know, that they're on here watching.
Dude, my lives, whenever I do them, they auto delete after 30 days. Is there a way around that? Like, is this going to stay up?
That's a new thing on Facebook. Yeah, you could. I'll keep this up, but I'll also put it on YouTube.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's the nice thing about StreamYard. It's pretty good.
I just lost 2 of my streams, and they were like, people really liked it, and I just
that sucks. Yeah,
it is what it is.
Start putting do you put a lot of stuff on YouTube?
Not at all. It's basically like an archive for me to put stuff up for Patreon because I don't upload directly to there.
Yeah.
So there's like nothing on there other than Patreon videos.
So how's the Patreon going for you? I suggest it to a lot of people because I think they should be on there. You're putting good stuff out.
Dude, I know there are 3 potential reasons. Anytime that my follower count goes up by a measurable amount, you shouted me out, I've got a really weird or dangerous dog, or someone made a negative video about me. It's one of those 3 things, literally every fucking time. But I do appreciate it. Seriously, I do appreciate it. I get people messaging. They're like, I'm following from the seminar. I'm like, holy shit. Like, that's awesome. I appreciate it.
Well, look, here's the thing, dude. You're doing really good stuff. It's that simple.
Thank you.
All the time I spend with Jay, and we've spent a lot of time together over the past 5 years now. I didn't even know the fucker had a Patreon channel.
Yeah.
You know, he's a worse businessman than me, and that's pretty bad. You know, so it's those are the 2 channels that are really, really, what's up, Paul? Like, really important, where people can literally get enough information to change the way you train dogs. It's that simple.
It's just like actual dogs.
Yeah.
Like, it's like actual shit happening. It's not like all dog training by nature is a setup, but it's like, no, guys, this is like if you had an eagle eye on me during like one of my mornings with a dog.
Sure.
Literally. You know what I mean? There's just nobody does that for some reason.
It's funny because some of the stuff you've been putting out lately, like, I'm in the same boat. We're doing very close to similar things with the dogs we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of nothing going on.
Right.
A lot of nothing.
Literally
going on, you know.
And but, I want to talk about that dog Hazel too.
Yeah.
If you want to break down any of that, because that dog seems really cool. And the clip you posted of her marching down the street with her ball is like,
yeah, and it made me, you know what's funny about her, Dylan? She's Border Collie, Great Pyrenees, and I forget what else. During the day and in many situations, you see all the Border Collie habits coming out.
Sorry, board and train got ripped up on a chair.
Yeah. During the day, you see all the Border Collie in her.
Yeah.
And as soon as it gets dark out, she turns into a Great Pyrenees. It's crazy, dude. Like it's 2 different dogs, and it's wild. But plus, the other thing that I appreciate about you very much that I love You're hairier than I am, and you ain't scared to show the shit.
No, I've looked like this since I was 12 years old.
Me too.
Like legit, yeah. So like I don't know if your high school or your middle school had a swim unit in gym, but like I got used to exposing that part of my reality. Like I had to. I was just like, fuck it. Like I have to face the music. I'm in
That's
sixth
great.
grade. I'm in the new school. Like they just have to.
Sixth
Like, what am I
grade.
gonna do? Yeah, it's crazy.
That's fucking awesome. All right. So some of the topics we talked about tonight, really important, but of course anything goes, right? We talked about how there is no substitute with productive play when dealing with behavioral problems.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely both agree on that.
Yeah.
The use of fucking short leashes needs to be abandoned completely.
Right. Right.
You know, and then of course all the e-collar stuff, the one place where we don't agree on everything. And I think that will make for interesting conversation. And it's not even that like I disagree with you. It's the same thing that the conversation I had with Ivan. I don't disagree, but there's reasons why I disagree and it has nothing to do with how the dogs learn. You understand? But we'll jump into all of that. I'm not going to have you do the same bullshit that people do. Hey, tell us how you got into dogs. No one fucking cares. And it's all the same shit, right? They want to get into the meat and potatoes of things. So I think it's fair to say I've met you a while back now at one of our seminars. And the thing that always sticks out in my head, like I'm always watching at these seminars, you know, the people. And they don't think, but the one thing that struck me about you is you sat in the back with a notebook.
Yeah.
And took notes nonstop.
Yeah.
And had nothing but really detailed, good questions, like student all the way. And I think the last time is when you talked to Jay about if you should go to Ivan's school or not. And he was like, fuck, dude, if you could afford it, do it. If you can't afford it, find a way to do it.
Yeah.
So obviously that has had a massive impact on what you're doing now. And it shows. And it's fucking great. The thing that upsets me, Dylan, that to this day, you could show all you want. Jay could show all he wants. I could show stuff. It doesn't matter. I hear this from a lot of seasoned dog trainers. Seasoned doesn't mean good, just 20 years experience, 30 years experience. And they talk about this being a new fad, you know, that nothing has changed in dog training. There's nothing new. And I think that's totally fucking idiotic and so incorrect. But the thing is, every single experienced trainer that I hear saying that are very heavy-handed trainers, like super heavy-handed trainers. You understand? So how do you combat this? Where do we take this to where more people are going to start? Because even the people that are into it, they don't understand the reason behind how it affects. They just think, oh, I'll play with my dog and all the problems will go away. And that's not the case, you know? So go ahead and run with that, buddy.
So the idea specifically, and again, I don't want to go into a long intro segment. I agree. Those are typically like, dude, come on, like what the fuck? Can we fast forward this shit? But I primarily have spent the last couple of years dealing with anywhere from like mildly annoying to severely dangerous human aggression cases. And it's something that I'm still really, really obsessed with. And sort of on the topic of stagnation that you brought up there with people thinking that training is just like a solved equation. It's just like, this is just what we do. I find that behavioral modification is one of the worst places for that, where it's just like, this is what is done. If you step outside of the boundaries, you're a fucking lunatic. And the reason why it bothers me so much is because it's life or death. Like, this isn't like we're on a trial field. And by the way, I don't knock sports. I like revere. Anytime I get a chance to watch high level sport training, I'm like foaming at the mouth. I'm like, dude. But the stakes here are no joke. You've got the life and death of the dogs and you've got human safety. So the thought that you would have people thinking that there's nowhere to go with this field is totally insane to me. Like, it's actually like unacceptable.
Yeah.
And you certainly get a lot of like old heads like, oh, I've been training for 4 decades and fucking I work with police canines and I have 20 billion dogs and I trained hunting dogs for Genghis Khan. Like, you get these crazy claims of like superiority and authority, and there's just no evidence of it, like ever, like literally zero.
Sure.
And then you get younger people that I think are very much more in like the Lima force-free direction. And they manage to also be as obstinate. It's just that they can't make the experience claim most of the time. But it's just like, no, this is what you do, this is what you don't do.
Mm-hmm.
And if the dog dies, it was genetics, it was this or that. And to get back to the play thing, the amount of times, and I know it's this way for you too, where you get dogs typically that have been to multiple trainers.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2, 3. So it's crazy, crazy shit. And you've been doing this for a while, and like you hear stories, people have been fleeced for 10 grand, 15 grand. Like, it's just psychotic.
30 grand. I got clients that have spent 30 grand on dog training.
Dude, I had someone try to call me on this when I was like, yeah, I had a client that did a $12,000 counter conditioning program, and the dog literally came out worse, and someone was like 12 grand. I don't fucking believe. I'm like, dude, go on these people's websites.
Sure.
They literally show it.
Yeah.
But the amount of times where I ask the client, I'm like, did anyone, so you've got, like, I've got this dog here. I've got a really interesting dog, this German Shepherd, diagnosed severe general anxiety, severe reactivity, potentially dog aggressive. I'm like, okay, you worked with a vet behaviorist for months. You consulted with other dog trainers. Did anyone ask or like tell you to play with the dog? The answer is 0 times.
Sure.
I've literally never had that happen. And it gets even more deranged and I don't want to go down the shelter rabbit hole, but like, you get dogs that are losing their minds in shelters, and trainers are openly saying you shouldn't play with this dog or he's going to become aggressive.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's like play cannot solve everything. And I think that's a really interesting topic too. Like, what are the limitations of play? Because I mean, I'm a TWC guy. I don't hide the fact. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that people get kind of like obsessive, and they're like, well, if the dog is trying to kill the neighbor, we just like have to engage in a game of tug. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, that dog very well could benefit greatly from tug, like greatly, and we should do it, but that's not the end of the road. Like, you have to actually do things. You know what I'm saying? But play is certainly in my top 3. Like, if I've got a dog that comes in and it's like, he's got 5 bites, 10 bites, whatever, he's out of control, he's attacking me, play is easily in my top 3. We need to get after this, and like as soon as we physically can, every single time, you know. Now, if it doesn't work out, like I just had a very, very, I would say probably the most extremely aggressive dog in my board and train program a couple months ago or so, and we could never get play totally coherent. And you have to be able to train the dog and get the result without it.
Sure.
But when I can have it, I am attacking play. Like, that is a priority every single time, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen 100%.
Facts. Now, here's a couple of things that what I tell people that they don't get. Okay. First of all, like going on 4 years, I took a dog, human aggressive, was going to be put down, big Corso, and I literally filmed everything, the shit show, everything, you know? And I can't tell you how many so-called experts were messaging me and saying publicly, you know, why you shouldn't play with this dog.
Yeah.
Why you shouldn't allow this dog to bite things, or how is this going to, you know, translate to the real world? When to this day, that owner still sends videos of that dog off leash in public playing with people, right?
Yeah.
But what I tell people is, for me, like you said, if we can get the dog to play, we're hitting it hard. But my whole communication system is going to be built in that game, in that competitive, productive game. Every word, the markers, everything that need to have meaning is going to be built into that game. But then we get to add rules and boundaries and enforce them. So when you take a dog that you can bring to the highest level of drive and then ask it to cap its energy and insanity and have consequences for not following the rules, that's the part that people don't understand translates when you finally take the dog for a walk and he sees a dog and he wants to act like an asshole, and you say, hey, I don't like that. It's not the first time they're here and, hey, I don't like, they get it because of what you taught within that game.
Yeah.
And that's a big part that people are missing. You know what I'm saying?
So every trainer that I've interacted with that either doesn't utilize play or outright doesn't like it, which I feel like the tides are sort of turning and people are kind of luckily feeling some shame about being that guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're really going to be the fucking asshole that tells your client not to throw a ball with your dog. It comes from a fear of the emotional spectrum. And I think about this all the time. Like, I think about this constantly. All I think about is dog training, pretty much. And my wife and kids, I should add them in. But like, I'm thinking about dog training and different methodologies and what people are saying constantly. And these are people, these are trainers, and you can get them very far in the compulsion world. You get them very far in the more like positive reinforcement first. They call themselves relationship based trainers, even though there's no relationship outside of being a vending machine.
Mm-hmm.
They are afraid of arousal. They despise it. They fear it. They seek to avoid it at all costs. They are currently running a psyop where they are trying to convince people that it's a behavioral problem. That like a dog being excited is by default bad, with no context.
Sure.
Right. So there's this lady, one of the dumbest people. I'm not going to call anyone out on your show.
Oh, no, I'm okay with anything.
No, I already kind of ripped her a little bit. But she's a really dumb, bad person, and she is running the shelter trainer grift so that she can have self-righteousness, totally unearned. And she'll show videos of a pit bull, like just a repressed pit bull locked in a concrete cell, right? She brings him into a room. The camera's turned off. She gets him riled up. She has a long sleeve shirt on. She hits play on the camera, and then she starts moving her arms around, and the dog is clearly trying to grab her sleeve to play. And she's like, look at this crazy defensive leash handling exhibition I'm putting on with this totally over-aroused, hyper-aggressive. I'm like, you despise the true nature of the dog.
So basically, she does what a lot of balance trainers do to make good video.
100%. 100%. It's
the before and after videos.
Yes. The amount of bark and hold tricks that people do with the edited videos makes me want to blow my brains out. Like, it drives me insane. But that comes from a fear. It's very heavy compulsion training too. It's like, well, no, I need the dog to lay on the floor. That is the answer to him chasing squirrels. It's like, what if you, instead of denying his nature, you brought him to that place deliberately, you allow him to express it. Now, for me, control is definitely part of the deal. It's a huge part of the deal. But I'm more like being there with the dog. I want him to know. And I like, it's a good conversation talking about having clear intentions with behavioral cases too. It's like, I want you to be you. I'm not afraid of you, right? But in terms of control, why not use play to bring him to that place and then be like, down, out, heel? Like, why would you just reject that arousal is going to happen and then just crush dogs or avoid things? Why not just deliberately train for him?
Sure. Yeah, it's the hardest thing to change in all of dog training is the human habit. There's no question about it. And listen, 25 years ago, I was doing the shelter thing. It didn't work out well for me. I got screwed over so many times with amazing dogs. Literally the first time I went to a shelter, I introduced myself. I brought my dog with me, walked in with me, off leash, no tools, my Rottweiler. You know, everyone was real nice. We talked. They were loving on my dog, and they explained to me, well, they already have a trainer they use. It was a force-free trainer here in town. And I said, okay. I said, all right, not a problem. I said, well, is there a dog that you have here that is so bad, which you think that it can't get adopted? And they go, oh yeah. And I said, okay. I said, well, how about I train that dog for free and we get it placed? And they took me to show me the dog. Nothing wrong with the dog. It was just wild. And I said, okay, I'll train that dog so you can get it adopted under one condition. You let me know who gets the dog so I can continue the training. And they literally laughed at me. They said, you're going to train that dog. I said, yeah. And I did. It was a great dog, just full of energy and drive.
Right.
The dog got adopted. I never heard again from them because what they do, they gave it to the force-free trainer.
Yeah.
And I know how that turned out.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the only incident. I dealt with it for a long time, and it never went well for me. I met great people in the system, but they didn't have a say in how things went. They wanted to do the right thing, but people above them would not allow it to happen.
Yeah.
So it's very, very frustrating. I love the seminar I just saw you announce that you're doing. That is that's fucking fantastic. Like that's a really great thing, because instead of pushing this spay and neuter bullshit, how about we push training these dogs and training people that work in these shelters so they can provide something daily to make these dogs better, But they keep talking about how the spay and neuter thing is going to empty the shelters. Well, it's not working, and it's never going to work, right? These dogs need help. They need training. And the people volunteering, the good-hearted people, need to learn how to handle and train dogs. It's that simple.
Yeah. Well, they look at that dog losing his mind in the kennel, and the assumption is that the training protocol must be made to teach calm. Right. Like obvious. It's a very like Neanderthal hammer nail thought process. It's like dog's out of control, then we have to practice being calm. It's like, dude, he's a fucking dog, man.
Yeah.
Like please. And it's I love dog training. It's fascinating to me, especially behavior. That's enough motivation for me, but there's more. Like I do want to strike a blow, like badly. Like I want to shake things up hard. Like I cannot. It is unconscionable for me how shelters are run, like the state of it. So the seminar will be my first sort of more of like macro level attempt at putting a message out. Yeah. And maybe it'll be terrible. But I was talking to people about it. I was like, the worst thing that happens is, dude, we're at Ivan's and there's a bunch of cool dogs. Like let's just something.
No, okay. Cool. So how did that come about? I'm just going to ask you. If I'm not mistaken, it's Ivan's place. I saw Plant City. So how did this come about? He approached you. You approach him. I'm assuming he approached you.
Yeah, I mean, the people at TWC have been on me like, dude, we got to set up some sort of seminar. But here's the thing: like the stuff that I do, and I know this is going to strike a chord with you. The stuff that I deal with in my actual job is just not conducive for a seminar environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're a sporting trainer, you can have dogs come in at multiple levels. And it's like, we know what we're going to do. And like, there's troubleshooting. We can get creative and do things like that. But you have like a broad idea. And the audience for that is very curated. Like they're sport people. They know what they're looking at.
Yes.
If you've got, and that's very cool, by the way. I was just at the helper workshop at Ivan's for 5 days and it was fucking sick. But for behavioral modification, it's like, I don't want to tell people, hey, bring your dog for a couple days and what am I going to do? It takes me a couple of weeks to get some of these dogs to trust me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we going to do that matters? So when the conversation came up, we were like, I was bouncing ideas and it's like the shelter thing. Hey, easy. The shelter thing's an easy one. It's like, you can just get people to bring dogs and it's like, teach people how to play tug. Teaching shelter volunteers how to play tug is one of the most fun things in the world.
Yeah. And productive.
Super productive.
Yeah.
And there are particular ways that I train that just like they slide into that format with shelter dogs so easily. Like the walking on long lines that we'll talk about, you listed as an important topic, and it's so crucial. Because you see these dogs dragging around old ladies on 5-foot lines.
Yeah.
And the dog just wants to go sniff, dude. Like, there's no reason this has to be combat. But in terms of a seminar, it should be easy for me to come up with a curriculum or a presentation for it and just go hands-on playing with dogs. It'll be cool.
No, it'll be great because, like you said, you could have a curriculum. So dealing just with problem dogs, I know how hard that is for seminars.
Oh, yeah.
My worst nightmare is when you get to a seminar, and I just dealt with this recently, and there's no bad dogs.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, you want to ask people, why did you take a working spot? Right. But
Right.
there was a time, Dylan, where that would really stress me out and like scare the shit out of me. But it doesn't anymore, because this is what I focus on. I focus on how much the handler knows. And if your dog's a bump on the log and it doesn't want to play, it has no interest in anything, there's no motivation. Okay, we're still going to train. But now all the focus is going to be on you, right? My job isn't to fix your dog at a seminar. It's to try to make you the best handler possible. Show me what you know.
Yep.
And on the positive side, most pet dog seminars where people struggle with behavioral problems, the majority of the people who come know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They know nothing. And that's not a criticism of them. They just don't know.
No, they've also been totally misled by other trainers.
Yes.
So
and
you get the added benefit of figuring out what other people are doing. So
sure.
like you learn like
and so listen, I have private lesson clients right now that have been to very big names, and some of them I like, some of them are good people, but have spent buttloads of money. And when I say, okay, let me see, work your dog, I ask for two things. Show me on leash, basic obedience, where sometimes you're rewarding, sometimes you're not. Mix it up, and show me playing tug with your dog on leash. Those two things. Because from those two things, I could tell how much you know or don't know. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, there's people that have spent $30,000, and many of them with super big names in the dog training industry, and they know nothing.
Yeah.
And they've had every excuse why their dog can't be fixed. And very often in one or two sessions, those dogs are completely different when we make the handler understand a little something. Because when I tell someone, okay, you're doing everything wrong, they get down in the dumps. And I said, well, no. I said, don't feel bad. That's a good thing.
Yep.
Because if you were doing everything right and we have these problems, little harder understanding where to start. But now you're going to see improvement immediately the second you start to understand what you're doing or not doing.
Right.
You understand? And when you're dealing in the pet dog world, Bart used to call it blood money. I understand why he called it blood money. That's what it is. It's tough. When you're dealing with sport dog people, which I do that also, for dealing with problems with their dogs. These are people that want to be better.
Right.
And they already have an understanding of dogs. And they have dogs that you could do stuff with. That's cake. That's simple, man. Like there's a lot to work with there. You know what I mean? Right. But when you got 68-year-old Betty Joe, whose dog doesn't want to get off the couch because he's 80 pounds overweight, you want to be a good trainer? Have success with that. You know what I mean? That's there. It's a different level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you can even extend that to dog trainers themselves. So I'm like, as far as I know, maybe the only guy in the TWC Academy that does not do any sports. Right. Like I just don't, I have zero interest in it. I mean, personally participating, I have zero interest, but I learn everything I can from it.
You will eventually.
Dude, I don't know. People have been telling me, and I've seen so much IGP. I'm not against it. I'm not going to say, no shot. But being around people that train for sport, the intensity is insane.
Yeah, it is.
It's fucking crazy. I'm like, dude, you guys are trying. Like, you're trying really hard. And you're bringing up stuff that you're having trouble with, like in public, and you're admitting you don't know things.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. Listen, I was just down in December with Fabian Robinson and Gina down in Florida, Palm City, and they have a beautiful home on a beautiful piece of property set up like Ivan's place. Their whole, oh, man. Oh, there you go. Did we lose them? You good? All right, he'll sign right back in. Don't worry about it. Dylan, just do Mondio. Thanks, Sydney. All right.
Up until the end, so keep going. Sorry.
All right, we're good. Yeah, so I went down there, and they have a beautiful setup like Ivan's place. They could do IGP and track right on their place, right? They go someplace every single day to train their dogs for the sport. Every day, not on their property, which would be easy, right? but that's why they're at the level they're at. Every fucking day they go someplace different to track, to do obedience, to do it's unbelievable. But you see the dedication it takes to get to that level, and that inspired the shit out of me when I was down there with Dante, and I couldn't wait to get out there because that was the moment I knew, I want to do this. Up until then, I was just doing it to prove a point. Like, I could do this, But at that moment, I was like, no, I want to do this. And then we went out to do our first session and he snapped his leg. So it didn't work out so well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get it. So how many people are you guys going to allow to come to this seminar? Because there's going to be a lot.
Dude, I actually have no idea. I sort of do this thing where very far in advance, if I'm going to be doing something, I kind of I find what's the worst case scenario and then I just like accept it. So I'm just like accepting maybe like 6 people show up and we would have a great time. I imagine it's probably going to be pretty big, but I don't know how many actual spots they're going to have. We'll see.
Yeah, no, it's going to be, it's great. You're going to have a lot of interest in it. So when you're dealing with clients, what do you find is the toughest thing to translate when it comes to the play? Because like for me, I deal with a lot of older people.
Yeah.
Where I've had to start turning to spring pole stuff or tether tug stuff, which I'm so grateful for the time that I've spent with Jay, because his knowledge of all the pit bull stuff and the pit bull games and what he's done with GRC, I've taken so much from being around him that I'm able to incorporate that when I'm dealing with older people that can't play with a really strong, high drive, powerful dog the way I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what do you find is your toughest issue when dealing with your clients with the issues you're dealing with?
Well, on that topic, the Chuck It is one of the most underrated dog training tools.
Fuck yeah, 100%.
I am a Chuck It enjoyer.
Me too.
I have so many of these things. The field next to my house is littered with abandoned Chuck Its. I lose them all the time. But that's one. And then in the spring, my lab goes out and finds them. But that's one of those things where it's like, if I know, like with an older client, the chances of them being able to tug are so low.
Sure.
So the Chuck It is just, if that dog will chase, like sometimes I'll bite the bullet and be like, yeah, when you're outside, let him chew sticks and stuff if he needs to get that out of his system, but just go nuts with the Chuck It. So the Chuck It is just God to me. Yeah. But if I'm going to be doing tug with someone that's not physically abled, a ball on rope, something to give them some sort of space is incredible. And it's something I've seen you do too, where you're trying to inhabit the style, what you predict the style will be of the client.
Sure.
Right. So yeah. I'm not out there, like if I know it's I don't know, it's like a Great Dane, or I've got a human aggressive Saint Bernard I'm working with now that we may do a board and trade, I'm not sure. But his owner, the mom, is like 4'11". Yeah. Right. So when I get this dog to play, I'm not going to be hitting him with like WWE moves. She just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So when I can prefer fetch using a Chuck It, I will. But yeah, this is where you can get really weird and creative with the problem solving. But this is why I think pet training just fascinates me, because you're trying to pull out wins in totally suboptimal conditions all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you are deliberately, like I am basically on a quest to find dogs that will break me. Like that's what I'm actively doing. Sure. Like I want to find the setup that pushes me to a limit where I'm like, I don't even know if I can do this, and then I want to find a way to do it. And the client is the client's capabilities is a huge factor. And yeah, in the play it can be tough. And with the tug, it's the common stuff that I'm sure you and Jay are constantly getting on people about, where it's like they just mindlessly wave the dog around with no goal. Yeah. That's probably the most common tug issue.
Did you see the video I did with the 3 most common issues? No.
What was that?
Yeah, one of them was the masturbation tug.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a client recently, wonderful lady. Her and her husband are here. I love them to death. Really good people. And she was playing tug, and I looked at the husband. I say, "Are you guys easily offended?" He goes, "We know you. If we were, we wouldn't be here." I said, "Okay." Right. And I went into this big thing about masturbation and what she's doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there was that was one of them, just shaking the dog around. The other one was missing the point of when, let's say you ask the dog for an out and the dog outs, and then it goes to grab it again without permission. Almost everyone says something like and pulls the tug away.
Yeah.
When I want that mistake. That's an opportunity to teach no. Right. It's an opportunity. And the other one was taking the dildo, I call it, and ramming it down the dog's throat. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. 3 killers of the game for dogs. And there's more, but those are the 3 most common ones I see with pet dog people.
Well, the second one there, where you're trying to not allow the dog to re-grab the toy, that is actually a way more systemic issue that just in the field of dog training generally drives me insane, where people do everything that they can to not allow the dog to make mistakes.
Yes.
And this is a crucial concept for me that drives some people crazy with aggression, where like, no, dude, I'm gonna let the dog do it. Like, he has to find out.
Got to make the mistakes.
You have to know. It's, if there's never an answer to that, there's always going to be a what if floating around.
Yes.
And what if is the antithesis of clarity, which is what we're trying to achieve. So in the game, you have the added detriment of making the toy alive, which is sending a dog a completely mixed signal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's human nature to sort of, and this is a huge deal too with, again, I know I keep circling it back to aggression, but people like flinching and building anticipation without realizing it.
Sure.
I had a shelter call me yesterday. It's a shelter that I really, really like. I've had a lot of really good experiences with these people, but they've got this, the call was, we've got this husky and no one can touch it. And I'm like, all right, you have my attention. If it's just like, oh, the dog's biting the leash, like I can,
sure.
You guys know how to play tug now. This is how you use the pet corrector to stop him. But this sounds cool. They're like, everyone's scared. We're freaking out. Like, what do we do? And I go in and they're like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to touch the dog. He might bite. Like, he growls and he loses his shit. It's like, but everything you guys are doing where you're walking up and trying to clip the leash and dropping the slip collar on him, you're building anticipation around something that's supposed to just be normal.
Sure.
And of course, I mean, I go in and I start petting him. I had my gloves on for 10 seconds. I took them off, and the dog is just really vocal, and he's like leaning into the massage. This is the importance too. This is a really big one for me that drives me nuts. Like, trainers not evaluating dogs thoroughly.
Sure.
And just going off of stories that non-dog trainers tell them, the client, right? Which is just insane. It gets good dogs labeled aggressive. It wastes a shitload of time. I imagined while I was petting this husky, like how many trainers would have come in with some sort of like touch desensitization protocol and would have been sitting here for fucking 3 weeks. It's like, dude,
they would have been tossing food
from across the fence and all that type of shit. But like in the play, the anticipation is supposed to be part of the thrill of the game.
Yeah.
You don't want to create anticipation around the dog doing things he's not supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sure. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And you have to allow the dog to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the dog shouldn't be scared to make mistakes.
Right.
You know, and that's where the heavy-handed people fall in. They think they're doing something.
Yeah.
I won't go too deep into it, but there was a video recently where, the dog appeared to be a killer because of the pressure they were putting on it for the before video. I know what's going on.
Right.
And then the big success video was the dog laying around doing nothing. But I mean nothing. Like a fucking carpet. The dog had no life in him. Like, I've been doing this long enough to know what took place there.
Right.
That's not how I want to accomplish things.
No.
Now, if you showed me you're not putting pressure on that dog and he's trying to kill you, and then you show me that dog crazy about you wanting to do cool things, that's impressive. Your dog laying there doing nothing like a fucking statue, I know what took place. Right. I know where that dog's mind, it's not impressive. You know, the
yeah,
dog can't be scared to make mistakes. Just like
right.
when I'm working one-on-one with a client, which is big for me, I can't have clients scared to make mistakes.
Of course.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm going to let them fuck up left and right. I'm going to make fun of them. I'm going to crack
Yes.
jokes. We're going to have a
Yes.
good time with it because the humor, bringing in humor into that shit, it loosens everyone up and it makes
Yeah.
them not so anal about everything. You know what I mean?
No, that on the client side for a second, that last point, the humor, especially with people that are desperate
Yeah,
and struggling, the humor is so fucking crucial, dude.
it is.
I will rip people to pieces. They're almost taken by surprise, and then they're just like dying.
Yeah,
And now I'm like, okay, you're gonna be okay. It's like with the dogs. It's like when
yeah,
you crack the wall, I'm like, I know you're gonna be okay.
yeah,
So that's a huge one for me. But yeah, on the topic of the before and afters, this is one of the reasons why very few trainers actually show results. And when they do, it looks like that.
yes.
It's because on their company website, on their Power Rangers van that they drive around with their logos, on their Facebook, they've got behavioral rehabilitator or
Mhm.
behavioral expert or whatever. But they know in their heart they are changing nothing. There is nothing to change. I mean, there is nothing to show that it's changed, right?
Right.
You are doing very bad hack job obedience,
Yeah,
and you're calling yourself a behavioral expert.
sure.
And this is one of the reasons why, like one day Ivan was breaking down the scoring for IGP, and it was so cool to see how many points are allocated for the attitude of the dog.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, holy shit. Like that is gorgeous because
Mhm.
that's constantly what I'm looking for. It's like
Right.
I don't want to say it's all that I care about, but it's like if I have a dog and I've taught it, a pet dog heel, and it's like it's really, really nice. And I know it could transfer and go home. But if I feel like a 5% tinge of uh discomfort, I'm like, I can't sleep at night. I have to do something. Like I
Sure.
can't. I am obsessive about the attitude, and that's what I think. That's what I'm trying to do when I show things. It's like I
Mhm.
want to show the result. I want to show that I've been doing things you're not supposed to do, and then at the end of the whole saga, the follow ups with the dog and everything, you have to answer the call. You have to tell me, what does the dog look like.
If the attitude's not there in a positive way, the results are shit.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Right. It
It
doesn't.
literally does not count.
Let
Like,
me tell you. Let me tell you something, Dylan. One of the most satisfying things for me, it's a little thing. When I have a client that's going to travel, a lot of times it's not that I don't let them board their dogs, but I tell them, look, if I'm home, bring me your don't board your dog. Bring her here.
yeah. Yeah.
Right? If I'm home. When that dog gets out of their car and that dog drags the owner to get to me,
Yeah.
I've never seen an owner not smiling from ear to ear because they're going on vacation with total peace.
Right.
Right. And so if I get someone from Washington State or California, which this dog, the Rottweiler I have, was just driven here from California, I'll try to talk people out of driving cross country to leave a dog with me. I tell them, look, I'm not the greatest dog trainer in the world. You don't need to do this. And they insist. And I say, why? What is it that makes you want to be here? I've only had one answer. No bullshit in all these years. And it's always because we see what the dogs look like when they're with you.
Yeah.
That tells us everything we need to know. I think some people don't even give a shit about the results if you don't fuck their dog up,
Right.
And that's how bad dog training has gotten. It's gotten worse. We have more dog trainers than ever and more problem dogs than ever. It doesn't add up.
So I've got some cool dogs going right now, and I'm trying to get back into private lessons. I sort of as a personal weakness, I guess, in my game. Private lessons for me, I get so frustrated. I'm like, dude, just send me the fucking dog. Because I know I could make this happen in like 10 times the speed, 20 times the
Right,
speed.
right.
So I'm kind of challenging myself. Like, let's take some weird behavioral cases and do bi-weekly meetups and just see what I can do. And then at the end of the day, we have the backstop of the of the board and train. But two of my dogs right now, one's in lessons and one's the board and train that's laying on the couch right now. Both of them had been totally disillusioned by the concept of dog training, like the craft itself. They had been let down so atrociously. So with the human aggressive and pretty extremely reactive Saint Bernard, they ended up with a like two sides of the spectrum here. This is your police canine trainer. He owns 14 German Shepherds. You
as
go
soon
to his
as I hear that term, when I hear
Yeah.
people tell me, I said, stop.
Right.
Just stop.
Right. Yeah. I already know what's going on.
Yes.
But I demand to know because I want to know what this dog's been through.
Mhm.
And they go to the guy's facility and look, all 14 dogs are on place. It's like they're doing this to you. You know why?
Don't forget the trophies.
Right.
Don't
Oh my
forget
God.
the trophies
Yeah.
on
The
wall.
ribbons and shit.
Yes.
But they took this Saint Bernard who was really struggling and prong collar muzzle, and they did 6-7 sessions of this guy just healing the dog around his yard, just beating the shit out of him. And then at the end of it, he was like, yeah, I mean, if you're still having problems, you're just not being an assertive leader. Like you're not being calm enough on walks like that, that type of thing. Right. So that's one client. And then my board and train client, the story on this dog is pretty insane. 5-month-old German Shepherd puppy picked up by animal control, was a stray, brought to a shelter. She's at the shelter for a year. She's on anti-anxiety and antidepressant medication. Everyone there is afraid of her. Family adopts her. The shelter and the vet said you can never take her off these meds. She's too explosive. She's too dangerous, yada, yada. They can't take her for walks. Anything that moves outside that is not her is a legit explosion. And she's gotten to the point where she will turn on them and bite them. So they go to a veterinary behaviorist, one of these guys. And, force-free, highly educated academic. And they go to his facility for 8 sessions over the course of 2 months. They have a stuffed dog in the middle of the room. And they're doing counter conditioning protocols. Right. And at the end of it, when it doesn't work and the dog is seriously deranged, the guy tells them, again, this is a force-free animal rights advocate hero. He's like, you can't take her for walks. Forget about taking her to your camping site. You need to keep her on the back tire, keep her in the living room, and keep her on the meds, and hopefully she grows out of this. Right?
Unbelievable.
Thousands of dollars. And but circle back to your point, the thing that got them into wanting to try again with me, they were like, we see how the dogs look. That you cannot fake that.
That's right.
Like these are, and you're not like playing around with like golden retriever puppies. Like I'm bringing in like savage fucked up dogs.
Yeah. Yes, you are.
And they're like playing and like running around with other dogs and like walking through public and like meeting people. And like they're
but you most likely abuse those dogs into being happy.
Yeah.
Best comment I've ever had in my life.
I've gotten that a couple times. But you would actually be surprised when my page started getting really popular, just like totally out of nowhere. I had a seriously human aggressive blue heeler cattle dog. And I posted the evaluation video day one, and it got shared by like MMA fighters. Like just overnight, I wake up in the morning, I've got like 25,000 notifications. I was like, dude, are you serious?
Oh, geez.
But back then, when I was starting, I got a shitload of hate, like brutal, like I mean, you see how people treat each other in dog training.
Sure.
And the obvious motive is this guy is a small page. I want to silence him, right?
Yeah.
And I had a point where I was like, I know what I'm doing is working, but like, do I want to tolerate these allegations? And regardless of how tough you try to tell yourself that you are, there is a sheer volume of maliciousness that will inevitably chip you down. Like it's just going to happen. So I was one of those guys in the past where I was like, dude, just turn your phone off. Like who cares? But like it's tough. Like in my area, there are groups of people that spend large quantities of time trying to tell people that I'm like a dog killing psychopath.
Sure.
And at some level it bothers you, but I don't get that anymore, really. Like it's diminished so severely.
It can't.
To the point where if people lose their minds about what I'm doing, it's in like private groups. And I only hear about it because people send me screenshots or whatever. But I don't get people just coming to me being like, you're a dog abuser, because I've just shown dog, 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 dog. And at some point, I think even these lunatics, they're like, all right, it's too mask off for me to go on Dylan's page and be like, I hate that this dog is playing with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so
No.
even for the loons, I think evidence eventually will defeat them. And
Yeah.
that's sort of my motivation.
No, and you know, Dylan, a while back, I never caught too much heat from the force-free community. I make it kind of hard for them to come at me. You know, I'm not a very heavy-handed trainer, never have been. But the first time one of them infiltrated one of my seminars, I didn't know until they told me. And the reason they told me was, like, by the end of the first day, they came up to me and they said, I just want you to know I came here to hate you.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, well, they told me their background and I came here to hate you and disrupt things, but it's not what I expected. Like, you actually care about these animals, you know? And then I would tell that story over the next several seminars. And like for the next year, someone would come up to me by the end and go, I'm the one. I'm like, what do you mean you're the one? I'm the one that came to hate you.
The sleeper agent. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, because I talk about this sometimes every now and then. The imagination of a lot of the force-free people runs wild of what so-called balance trainers do. Right. And listen, to be fair to them, they're very accurate for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And they're very accurate for a lot of people that have big followings and have taught the bullshit that they teach.
Yeah.
And if you go back 10, 15 years into my really pitiful YouTube videos, there was about a 2-year span where I was so negative in every video I made because I was trying to warn people. And it was literally a few specific people that were getting real big and charging people a fortune to train them to be as big as scumbags as they were.
Yeah.
And it really fucked with my head because I had such a hard time keeping my mouth shut. So instead of using names, I would give people things to look for. And I got to tell you, I was bombarded with emails from the balance community about how I'm full of shit. I'm just looking for attention until someone said, you're talking about these people. And I said, yeah. They said, why don't you call them out by name? People trust you. I said, I can't. Then it does look like I'm trying to gain something. People have to figure it out on their own. But you know what, Dylan? Eventually they did. They did figure it out. And now they've lost a lot of popularity because people realize these guys are great businessmen and marketers on social media. They can't train a fucking dog to save their life. You know? So the truth eventually comes out.
Yeah. I've been called an optimist. I think that we need to have like a new era. Like, I think that there needs to be a new standard of evidence.
Yes.
And just showing that the job, like, it's this false dichotomy where it's like you either have a happy dog or a well-behaved dog. Just needs to be destroyed. Right. Like, it needs, I think it's on its last legs and it needs to just be completely snuffed out. And that's one thing I have on a lot of these compulsion guys, because like the whole if your dog has behavioral issues, the first and only thing you need to do is teach them how to do obedience with a prong. Like, it's just insane. They can't tell me that I only play with puppies.
Right.
You can't do that. I'm taking worse dogs than you. I'm taking worse dogs than you have probably ever seen in your career.
Right.
And I'm playing with them. So you're taking like these, like, oh my God, this leash reactive. Oh my God. And you're turning this dog into a soldier.
Yeah.
Right. You're stripping him of all agency. He lives in effectively a prison that you've been paid to construct. Like someone asked me recently about management, and like there's this thought that management is dog training, when it is just not. It's actually the opposite of dog training.
Right.
It can help for sure. And I am not anti-management as a concept. I think it's deranged to be like that, especially when you're dealing with severe behavioral issues. However, these are not synonymous things. So I don't consider it to be good dog training that the 6-month-old golden doodle has to be glued to a place cot when people come in the door. That's garbage.
Yeah.
Good dog training would be he can go greet grandma at the door and
Yes.
be part of the family without breaking her
Yes.
nose.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of reasons why people don't think that's real, and one of them on the force-free side is you have to use punishment to create that result because punishment is the enabler of freedom.
Yeah.
But on the compulsion side, it damages their grift because they're like, well, actually, your dog is trying to ruin your life at every waking moment. And if you give him a second of freedom, he's going to just bolt out the door and go kill somebody. It's like, I'm telling my clients, no, I'm giving you permission to enjoy your dog.
You know, Dylan, what I didn't get to tell people, the first time Hazel, that white dog mixed breed that I have with me, came to life in the video where you talked about carrying the ball and finally showed happiness and being a dog, that was the first time. What I didn't get to show people in that is that's right after I punished her in my home for going after one of my dogs.
Yep.
Like literally immediately after.
Yeah.
Right. But getting into the punishment thing, we know there's very few dog trainers that truly understand punishment. Okay. So when I started taking Ivan's course, there were certain things I was doing with difficult dogs when it comes to punishment. And like I said, I've never been a heavy-handed trainer, right? But there was one thing in particular that I was doing that was very effective, but I knew I was missing something. I knew there was a better way. I knew there was just something I couldn't figure out on my own, and I tried. And when we got to the punishment module in Ivan's course, I went, motherfucker, that's it. Like the light bulb went off. I literally called him immediately, and my exact words, oh, tornado. Oh, jeez.
Twister?
Yeah, in case I lose you guys, we're under a tornado warning and the alarm's going off. So we're going to just keep going.
Yeah.
I may die during the live, but my family will be safe. So what I said was, my exact words to Ivan were, motherfucker, that's it. And he laughed. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's what I was missing, right? Yeah. Was there one moment when taking the course and working with him that you had that moment?
Yeah, there were. So my thought process during the course was that I'm going to continue taking client dogs while I'm studying this stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of people did the opposite. They were like, well, no, during the course, I need to devote all my time to studying and reading and listening to the lectures and stuff like that. But I'm like, there's no, for me, I'm very hands-on. Like, I want to, if I see something being done, I want to go try to put it together or have someone there to coach
100%. Absolutely.
And I think dog training as a craft, like, you benefit greatly from hands-on. Like, there's a reason why I don't bludgeon people with my certification.
Right.
Which is what shithead trainers do.
Yeah.
I want, if you come and talk shit and I'm going to bludgeon you with something, it's going to be the dog training.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
But during the course, I'm like, I'm taking on nothing. I mean, there were a couple dogs that were kind of nasty, but yeah, I mean, the learning environment, clarity of intentions, that would be one. So back to how crucial play is with aggressive dogs. One of the reasons why it is because of that topic, making sure that the dog understands why we're here. Right. And like, part of the course is that you can look at it purely as just, this is the information in the lecture, but I really do think he wants you to dive into it and like go fuck around. Like, which, by the way, is something that I just don't. People are so paralyzed by being shamed by TikTokers that they don't experiment on anything, lest you get caught violating the religions. But that topic itself is probably my ultimate weapon when it comes to getting really out of control, like struggling, borderline suffering dogs to turn around. And it's something that I don't see many other people accomplishing. And what I'm getting on with this topic is that people they fail the dog literally on the first interaction. They start failing, like right away, like literally right away. So if you were to take the two, I don't know, general methodologies or thought processes, you've got the very avoidance threshold based, rewards based program deal. And then you've got the very control based, obedience based, compulsion based deal. And there are grades in between. But on that topic of clarity of intentions to the dog, if you go in with a dog that just got dropped off, and let's say he's biting people. I got a dog from a shelter, and he's scared, pissed off, whatever, and he's biting my husband. He bit my neighbor, whatever, and like we're all scared of him, right? And you go up to that dog thinking, I have to start making you go to work, right? And any deviation from my plan will be met with force, right? In that dog's mind, he is like, dude, my one person just dropped me off at someplace I've never been.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who the fuck you are. I am looking for reasons to hate you.
And you just confirmed it.
You're about to fight me, aren't you?
That's right.
The dog comes out and tries to bite, and now it's, well, I'm actually going to teach you how to down by cranking the leash for an hour or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the intentions there. You might as well just send the dog home. You're never going to recover. Then you've got the other side, which actually is less hands-on, horrible, but is actually just as bad, if not worse in some ways, which is trainers should never trigger dogs, and I can't have him ever be upset, so I need to stay on his thresholds, and if I let him out and I stare at the ceiling and I drop food, maybe he'll... That dog knows you think he's a freak. Your intentions were made clear. You are scared of him, he's a freak, and there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And if you think about the dog's perspective, dogs that have been going through serious problems, been really pissed off, afraid, unfulfilled, been biting, whatever, that's how their owners live with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's appeasement and avoidance.
Yes.
And you, as the trainer who just got paid, came in and said, you're the same. We're doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you things to try to not step on your toes.
That's right.
The intentions were made clear. You're pathetic and you don't like the dog. That is what he's thinking.
And that's why, just like you use, I use, Jay uses, that's why you're able to do so much more with not putting a muzzle on the dog and using the bite suit.
Right.
Game changer.
The muzzle is such a beautiful thing that I have to hate.
Yes.
I have to. The way that it is used allows people... Oh, are you losing the house?
My family's in the closet, but I'm going to keep going.
No, if you dip, it's cool. We can.
Nah, we got it. There's too many people on here to leave. If you see me spinning, I'm still going to stay on as long as I don't lose the connection.
All right. Save the dogs.
Turn that alarm off. Yeah, we're in bad shape here. We're in bad shape.
Natural disaster stream.
The problem is we're under this warning for 4 days.
Oh, no shit, really?
Yeah, so it's usually we have a tornado warning. It's a 15-minute window, and then we're safe. This is for 4 fucking days, dude. This is bad.
So when you go to sleep, are you just like, yeah, I could die?
Yeah, TV stays on, the news channel stays on, and my wife don't sleep much. What's up, Jay? We're talking about you a lot here. Why are you so fucking late?
Oh, Jay's in the chat. Cool.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the muzzle thing. Over, the bite suit over. It's a game changer.
So you've got the struggling dog gets dropped off. I'm gonna slip collar the fuck out of you, and you're gonna start working for your food. You've got that type of approach. You've got the real trainers don't have to see problems to fix them, which is one of the dumbest. Like, it actually drives me insane. It's never made sense to me. I'm gonna watch your thresholds and not make eye contact. Which both of these two approaches generally are always happening with the conversations that I have and the things that I see. The intentions are very bad to the dog. You very well may, and by the way, I'm not saying that every dog trainer is like a sociopath, but they think that they are doing the right thing for the dog. But the perception of the dog, who is he is biased by his issues.
Mm-hmm.
He does not need to see these things.
Yeah.
So the clarity of intentions, like you're talking about the bite gear, I go in and I'm like, dude, what's up?
Yeah.
And the dog's like, yo, you're not fighting. You're
Yeah,
not running
yeah,
away.
you're doing exactly the opposite of what they expect.
Yes. And like these dogs have been living like outcasts. And now someone is here with me and I just bit him and he's just looking at me like I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, do you want to go outside?
You took the tool away that always works.
Right. And there are some dogs where the prediction error just doesn't work out because the bite is so reinforcing that in some way I have to stop them. But it's done totally dispassionately. It's just like, again, kind of like holding back a dumb kid by his forehead. Like, are you done being an idiot? Let's go run around.
Yeah.
The intentions are so, and that was one of the big things from the course. It's like, I want the dog to know right out of the gate, you can show me what's going on. Show me. Like, I know you're hurting right now. Don't hold back. Give me it all, right? And there is nothing you can do to me to make me hate you. Nothing.
Right.
And that immediately accomplishes more in that first interaction than entire $10,000 training programs. Literally.
Massive. Massive.
That's the type of dog that he's been so deprived of some sort of interaction like that, where it's like an unconditional empathy. It's
well, you
like,
could see them start thinking.
They're like, holy shit, like this is like a real potential connection.
Yeah.
And at that point, obviously there's more that goes into it than the first day, but like from there, things change so fast.
Yeah.
And the dogs, like, they look at you like, I would walk through hell with this guy.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So anything after that, if the intentions are clear, that just sets up everything. If the intentions are fucked up, you are going nowhere.
You know, Dylan, when I have one of those incidents where the dog wants to try to do that and you know, I don't really give into it, one of the first things I'll do after that is once the dog is back in their pen, I'll sit right in front of their pen and play with my other dogs.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And I've never had a dog like bark or go crazy or get fired up because they literally every time will sit there and watch like, what am I seeing right here?
Right.
This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, and that's but that was also something that I took from Ivan, not the same scenario, but a different scenario, right? Because it was like, I think it was like, listen, if your dog fucking hates the mailman, like he needs to see you having positive interaction with the fucking mailman. It was something like that made me put it into other situations, right? Yeah. But a lot of people don't. They ignore. Oh, I think we just lost Dylan. He'll be right back. Don't worry about it. Hey guys, I want you to know, I'm like, my family's in the pantry right now, and I'm here for you during a fucking tornado.
Yeah. So you, to be clear, you're the one living through a natural disaster and you're not getting dropped. It's me. We are getting freezing rain though.
Yeah. Listen, I knew it was bad today when it got really hot and sunny and the wind was picking up and the dogs are acting weird. I'm like, man, but we got a little bit of a problem here, you know? But yeah, like those dogs watching you do that, like once their only tool that always works fails, and then they see you having positive interaction with someone that they think looks like them. Yeah. It's very powerful. Very, very powerful. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That, the concept that the brain is a prediction making machine. That is one part of the course too, that just,
excuse me, Dylan. Yeah, babe.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I'm okay.
All good?
No.
The kids are okay? Yeah.
Everyone pray, please.
I'm an atheist, so I'll send energy. I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, it's like the brain being a prediction making machine and then knowing that it would be wrong to align with the dog's negative predictions.
What do you turn to when the dog won't play, no matter what?
So this is going to sound borderline blasphemous for a TWC guy. Play is actually not my favorite way to train dogs. I love it. I play with dogs every single day. And like I said at the beginning of the stream too, like play, I'm doing everything I can to get it online with every single dog that I train, particularly problem dogs. I pray at the altar of the release command. I am a devoted zealot of the long line. We go explore.
Yes.
Basic obedience with negative reinforcement on a flat buckle collar.
Beautiful.
And the release command.
Fuck yeah, beautiful.
And
absolutely.
The dogs become, there's such a natural quality to their compliance.
It's the first thing I teach a dog, Dylan.
Yes.
Like literally the first thing I teach a dog is a release command.
Yes. You have to have it. And this is the one thing that play can't touch, at least in my opinion. And that is unconditional compliance without the promise of reward.
Yeah.
Like, and by doing it on the long line, going out to new places, this is one of my takes that I don't know if I'd call it controversial. I am very much in favor of taking really nasty dogs on field trips like the second day.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. As soon as I can safely get the dog in the car, we're going places. And someone's going to take that and go like, Dylan's saying that you should bring human aggressive dogs into like street markets and let them see kids. Like, all right, dude, like cool, whatever. But no, I'll take that dog out. And especially when we go to do training, it's like by the time I'm going to start to incorporate some authority, some control over the dog, he already knows this is the thing that I do with Dylan. Even if I'm still like, I'm not sure if I love this guy or not, he's the one that brings me out, right? Yeah. He's the one that's opening up my world. He's not a restrictor. He's not like up my ass. He's not afraid of me. And now when I go, hey dude, sit. Right? No, I insist. It's not going to hurt his fucking feelings.
Yeah.
And he's also not sitting out of this appeasement to try to get the treats to fall out of my pocket or for the ball to fly. Now, to be clear, I use play as a positive reinforcer for obedience like all the time. But this is my favorite thing is no rewards, no food, no toys. I'm out with a dog on a long line and just we do stuff together.
You have to do sessions with no rewards.
Yeah.
No matter how you train, you have to do sessions without rewards.
Yeah.
You understand? So in general, my board and train looks like this. And this is just in general. There's always exceptions, right? First thing in the morning, it's hard play. Play. That's our first session. Second session is usually on leash, obedience, teaching behaviors and positions using food rewards. My third session is all the same, but no rewards whatsoever. And then my fourth session is flexi, long line, just go explore, right? And in those 4 sessions, you're covering everything. You're covering fucking everything. And magic really happens. Like it really happens so quickly for these dogs. And they tend to truly enjoy every one of those friggin' sessions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can really cover all your bases too when you start to move them around in terms of the scheduling. So when you throw the dog off, where they're like, well, no, this is supposed to be our ball time. It's like, actually, not only are we not going to go for a free walk, I'm going to heal you the entire time.
Yeah, but I also have days where I do nothing but hang out with the dog.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Because listen, if I get, and I've used this analogy a lot only because it's happened to me. If I get a beautiful, happy-go-lucky lab, I have 2 really nice ponds in my neighborhood where I could take this lab there and work him in the water every day and have hundreds of thousands of views on my social media. Right? Yeah. And every day that lab is going to wake up and be excited knowing what we're going to do.
Yep.
But then the second I send him home and his dad is a lawyer, his mom is a lawyer, they have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, and he never goes to the pond again, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
So that whole saying, train the dog in front of you, I fucking hate it.
Right.
I train the dog for where it's going. There's a big difference. There's a massive difference.
Yeah. So this is why I won't train a dog that doesn't have a home. So because I've done it in the past, but this recently happened with a really, really human aggressive German Shepherd that I trained. that had an insane recovery, like crazy fucking recovery. I was not expecting it to happen. But again, like the only way to find out is to give the dogs a chance. But she was living with a foster organization that has a kennel. And the dog came to me. She was with me for 2 months and she became a family dog. And when I sent her back to the kennel, it crushed her.
Yeah.
Like fucked her up. Like she's in her kennel, like pissing herself, having messes on herself, screaming all day. And it's like, dude, I can't. So I'm just fostering her myself because I'm like, I can't do that to her. Like that's just not. And I should have seen that coming because it's the same exact concept. It's like that Labrador Retriever with going swimming in the pond every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe he gets to see that once a month. That's just not fair.
No, it's and people don't think like that. You know what I mean? They just don't. And you have to start thinking about all those little things. You know, about 15 years ago, I flew to San Francisco to spend the weekend working with Michael Ellis. Not for anything particular when it came to dog training. I don't even remember what we were focused on. It was to be a better teacher. And Michael's such a great teacher, phenomenal teacher. I wanted to see what his facility looks like, where he's training, what he's doing, how does he teach people? That was important to me.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I made that trip 15 years ago to try to focus on that. When you're dealing with people now, you're starting to make a really good name for yourself, which, by the way, I'm going to say this to you now. Someone that I respect very, very much in the dog world, one of the big name greats, he once called me a few years back. This is a while ago. And he goes, look, he said, you're on top of the tree now. And when you're on top of the tree, they're going to try to shake you off. You know, and it was advice that I took very serious, especially coming from this individual who was very important to me in the dog world. That's where you're at now. Like you're the new shiny toy. You're on top of the tree. Everybody's watching what you're doing, right? So they're going to come for you. They're going to find something. They're going to wait for you to say something, to do something, and they're going to try to bring you down. Do you even think along that lines when you're working with people, when you're doing something, when you're making a video?
No, not even a little bit.
You know, it's funny. My first seminar, and I apologize for cutting you off. My first seminar, but this is important because you're in your 20s, right, Dylan?
I'm 32.
Oh, okay. You look even younger than that. Okay. So that's
33.
young.
I don't know why I said 32. I'm 33. Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate that, though. I don't get that very often. Yeah, that's cool.
My very first seminar I ever did, which was fucking awful, by the way. I didn't know what I was doing. I had this little old lady fly in from England. Sweet lady. And she pulled me aside. And back then, I didn't care what I posted. Like, my kids weren't born yet. I was like, no filter. She said to me, she said, Larry, she said, you're a public figure now. Yeah. You got to watch what you say on social media. And I said, her name's Leslie. I said, Leslie, I said, I'm not a public, I'm just a dog trainer. You know what I mean? Right. And she said, trust me, you're a public figure. Be careful what you say. I'm not kidding you, Dylan. That same week, I said something that brought so much fucking heat on me that I called her immediately and I said, Leslie, you're right. I'm going to try to watch what I say. Yeah. Are you getting things behind the scenes that we don't see that like really fuck up your day sometimes? Because I know I do. I do.
Yeah. No, people are absolutely fucking blasting me for getting my age wrong. Come on, boys. So I usually post it. Like if someone is like going nuts on me, I usually repost it. And I'm like, hey, cool, like whatever. But it's an interesting conversation because I will definitely say if you went and dug up some of my like anonymous troll Twitter accounts from when I was in high school, yeah, you could probably cause some problems.
Yeah.
But in terms of the dog training, I very deliberately say I express things the way that I conceive of them or that I would talk to a client. And it's really funny because I actually think there is a benefit to it, even though, yeah, for sure, I'll get people it'll cause problems. And oh my God, Dylan is saying he uses pain in training. Yeah, of course I do. Like, okay. Like that's not a gotcha. I'm literally saying it.
But that's where the imagination runs wild.
Sure,
You
but
understand?
it's usually projection. It's usually
Yeah.
projection.
Mm-hmm.
And back on the force free thing, that when you were saying that when force free trainers make assumptions that the balance side is only using force,
Right.
there's a very specific reason why, and it's part of their mental condition. They are so one note and tunnel visioned. They assume every other trainer is the same way in their own field. So
Well,
they assume that if you're using negative reinforcement, that literally must be all you do.
Well, it upsets me when I see, and listen, I went the other way years ago, and it wasn't fair to do this to myself or to others. I got so associated with the e-collar bullshit way back then, and in a positive way, not even in a negative way, right?
Right.
That everyone assumed my dogs looked the way they did because of e-collars, even when they never had an e-collar on yet.
Yeah.
So no bullshit. I went to a trial once. It's the only time my wife went with me. It was fairly local. And I heard people saying, and she heard people saying away from me, that's that e-collar guy. This was a while back. Not in a bad way, but in a positive way. And that bothered me so much.
Yeah.
And it bothered my wife. And here's the thing. My dog was the only dog there that day without a leash, without any collars on.
Yeah.
And I worked the dog all day long in front of everyone, but I was still that e-collar guy.
Yep.
And I even wrote an article that was titled, I'm not that e-collar guy. Yep. You know what I mean? But when it came to the e-collar stuff, this is what happened there. It's not something that I ever planned, but I got sick and tired of seeing dogs destroyed with the tool.
Right.
Destroyed with it.
Yeah.
And at one point, 70-something% of my business was dogs that were fucked up on e-collars.
Yeah.
That's what threw me into that phase.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Jay had a really good comment. And I know with your audience, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but if you see Jay type a comment about dog training, just stop and read it.
Yeah, sure.
So he said something to the effect of that punishment is a tough stance to take because you just look like the punishment flag bearing guy.
Yeah.
And he said it like, that's why I don't bring it up a lot, because it makes me sad to be labeled that guy.
Yeah.
He also added on towards the end, I think Dylan's happy to have the fight, and fuck yeah, I'm happy to have the fight. Like, I just don't like, sure. Like there's an emotional drain to it. But I don't even, you know what the thing that's funny is? I'm not even known particularly as like the punishment guy. You know what I have a bad reputation for, quote unquote?
Being hairy?
No, some people like that. For not using food.
Yeah.
That no joke. Like, people scrape the barrel so far down that the worst shit they can say about me is that I use foul language and I don't use food in training.
Yeah.
And that sort of, I get that it's novel in the sense that food is very popular in training. But for the most part, I don't think I even have the reputation as punishment guy unless it's actively in a conversation pertaining to the topic.
Well, Jay's squirt bottle guy.
Right.
All that he does and teaches, which is a lot. Yeah. And he's the fucking squirt bottle guy.
Right. And but I think part of the problem is that people cling to it because no one else is talking about it.
Yeah.
And I don't, for me personally, I don't think anybody is morally obligated to, this is a really important deal to me. I don't think any trainer is morally obligated to show their work. I don't actually believe that. The thing that I believe is, if you are going to be making fact claims about dog training, if you are going to be actively criticizing, I use criticizing, that's a very soft word because the shit that I see is not criticism. You have to be able to demonstrate what you're saying, or you should be treated as a liar. You should, by default, you are a liar.
And that's something I envy and respect Jay for. He has a very small social media presence. He's very mentally tough. and he doesn't get involved. And I try very hard to think of him when I have weak moments, because I have a lot of weak moments where I fire back when I wish I didn't. And Jay and my wife, holy shit, have a very similar mindset. And they're both good for me, you know. It's funny because I sent Jay a text recently and I said, hey, listen, I said, give me 3 books or give me a book, something like that, that would help. I need something to feel better, like something that would help me, not something I'm interested in, something that you think would help me. And so he sent me 3 books that changed his life. And I follow through, and I'm still following through. But I sent him a text the other day. I'm like, listen, here's the deal. Either you're highly intelligent or I'm highly stupid, or maybe both. But I don't know how the fuck, like, you could stay, like, this is hard to get through. Like, my mind starts wandering, you know, and I can't. He goes, look, do 5 minutes at a time. I'm like, okay, maybe that's the case. But here's the thing, and I'm not saying this because I spend a lot of time with him. He's a phenomenal dog trainer, and he's if I had to trust someone with my dogs, he's the first person I'm sending my dogs to. But I also would be the first person I sent my kids to. You understand what I'm saying? That's what kind of human being he is. And that's I'm very blessed to have spent this time with him. He's an extraordinary human being. That's a hell of a dog trainer. Very underrated, but I think he's starting to get his what he deserves. People are starting to see how valuable he is to this community. But like you said earlier, Dylan, if he says something, it's going to be indeed me. I'm too lazy to post details. I made a comment on something you posted the other day, and it's half-assed because I'm fucking lazy.
You said the word beautiful.
Yeah. Well, not that one. Like something else where it was a little longer, but I'm like intellectually very lazy. I'm not going to take the time to write out my thoughts. Jay will.
Yeah.
Like he will, and it will be very deep and very meaningful. And knowing from where he came from in his background, like truly knowing him, like it blows me away, because up until I met Jay, I was the person that should not be where I'm at. Let's put it that way. Like there is no one with as interesting as a background as me. You don't go from what I was to being a federal agent. Until I met Jay, I was like, this motherfucker makes my childhood look like Candyland. You know what I mean? So if he says something, listen to it, because there's always good intentions. And I consider myself a good human being. I really do. And I'm not saying that to be stupid. Like people assume they know me because if I think one way about this topic politically, or I say, like, they think they know you, and that pisses me the fuck off sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I am a decent human being. Like I truly care about all people, and I try to do the right thing. You know, he lives his life in a very different way, and he's just a very impressive human being. So when he says something, or you get to work with him, fucking do it. Just fucking do it. And I've been blessed to be able to do it for the past fucking 5 years. You know, he's a very, very highly intelligent. And I tell people, I know he doesn't look it, but he's highly intelligent. Fucking listen to him. Now, good segue into punishment. How much do we want to divulge here? Because that's a game changer for people. Because let me know if you agree with me. Back to Jay. When I first met Jay in person, we had talked. I've done the podcast with him and Chad. We talked. I liked the things he was saying. But literally the first time we met was when we were both speakers at the IACP conference a few years back. I was sitting in Jay's presentation on fucking flexi leads, out of all things, which, believe it or not, he even made that fucking interesting and educational. But someone asked a question about punishment. And he said, that's not punishment. That's negative reinforcement. Mm-hmm. And I said, motherfucker, it's about time. Yeah. He was the first person that truly understood the difference. And I thought I did too. And I did compared to everyone else in the room. But every dog trainer in there wanted to argue with him that no, that's punishment. And this is what I tell people at seminars, Dylan. I ask people to give me examples: negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement, negative punishment, positive punishment. Everyone can define them and give examples, except what I tell them is if you live by those definitions, you're going to fucking fail because they don't tell the whole story, right? I ask for one simple question. You ask your dog to sit, he knows sit very well. You ask him to sit, he doesn't. I say, I want you to utilize, you have a leash and a collar, utilize some negative reinforcement to get your dog to sit, right? What does that mean to you? They give me the answer. Everyone gets it right. No problem. Anyone disagree? No. Okay, cool. Now you're walking down the street and your dog blows up when he sees a dog. I want you to use positive punishment to stop that. You have a leash and a collar. What does that look like? They give me the answer and I say, is that your answer? Okay, and that's positive punishment because if you look at the definition, you're adding something aversive to make a behavior less likely to happen, right? Along the lines of that. Anyone disagree? No one disagrees. And then I say, what's the difference between what you did with that and what you did with the sit? And then you get silence.
Yeah.
And eventually someone will say, well, the punishment was harder.
Yeah.
Well, what makes that punishment, right? And that's where shit gets deep. Now, we'll go as deep as you want here. But in my opinion, you tell me if you're wrong. And don't fucking hold back. Don't just agree with me to appease me. In my opinion, if the average dog trainer could master productive play, like productive play, where it makes sense to the dog, and truly understand what actual punishment is from the dog's perspective, there's not much that they can't accomplish. The problem is most people use highly aversive or abusive negative reinforcement to try to stop behaviors. If you disagree with me, please don't hold back.
No, this is one of my motivations for chronicling behavioral cases as extensively as I do. Because it is my strong belief that positive reinforcement, and again, I'm keeping this particularly to like behavioral cases, reactivity, aggression. Positive reinforcement is overused and overapplied in ways that are so destructive that it actually kills dogs.
Facts. I couldn't agree with you more. Food is the most misused and overused tool in all dog training.
But you can do this with play as well. You could do this very easily with play. I actually was just talking to a trainer. One of the coolest things that's happened with this like absurd internet attention is I get to talk to trainers all the time. And I would say that maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, I'll carve out time where I'm like jiggling my fat ass on the treadmill or something. And I'll just like talk to a trainer. And it's cool when they can send videos and stuff. But I was talking to this trainer that had a dog that would play really, really, really hard. And he's still afraid of the dog. He's petrified of the dog. I'm like, dude, you're scared of this dog. He's like, yeah, I know. I was like, okay. You are not going to fulfill your way into acceptance. It's not going to happen. This is like the major limitation of play, in my opinion, with behavioral cases. And absolutely, I utilize play to show boundaries and things like that in the high arousal state. There's no replacing it. But there's also no replacing in the context of we're just around each other, around the house, whatever, and you go, actually, I'm going to bark out of the window now. Like, okay, you're giving me a reason right now to go enforce my will. And there's not going to be a ball tucked under my arm.
Right.
Because the trainer I was talking to, he was attempting punishment, and he was getting back to play right away. It's like, dude, the dog knows he's getting the ball. This is not real.
Yeah.
Right? It's not true. Because what ends up happening is, and I have a long video on my Patreon about this, about how I perceive positive reinforcement is over applied. It gives trainers a false positive because they get the impression that the dog is really compliant with them. Here's the thing, guys. Dogs that are out of control they will play our games. If you are just going to be appeasing him with rewards, fuck it, I'll heal for you for a little while. It's okay. Just keep the crackers coming. But when the dog goes home, and he says, actually, I'm going to eat this bone that mom dropped on the floor while she was making dinner, whatever. And she goes down to reach to grab it and says, dude, leave that alone. He's going to explode.
Yes.
Because you have never, during the program, you avoided, and this is one of the reasons why, like, super threshold driven, don't set off the dog programs drive me insane. It's you are deliberately avoiding ever disagreeing with the dog in a way that is substantial.
Yeah.
And he needs it. This is medicine. You know what I'm saying? It's actual life-saving medicine. And I try to show as much of it as I can. But typically these moments, whether it's some sort of punishment event, they typically happen casually around the house. So I don't have a camera going. It's like, no, dude, I told you can't chew my slipper right now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not getting rewarded after dropping the slipper. You're in trouble. And you have to accept it. That you cannot do that with reinforcement. It's literally impossible.
Let me interrupt you here. This is very interesting on human psychology. The example I gave you earlier, when I asked a client or someone in a seminar, your dog doesn't sit, you utilize some negative reinforcement to get your dog to sit, what do you do? They all say, I say sit, he doesn't sit. I pull straight up on the leash, or I give pops, the dog sits. Okay, what are you looking for? I'm looking for the ass to hit the ground. What happens when the ass hits the ground? The leash pressure goes away. Okay, perfect. Anyone disagree? No one disagrees. Now, I ask for the punishment when the dog blows up. I say no, or they say nothing, and they pop the leash really hard because it's punishment. The dog stops. What are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for the dog to stop. Okay, what do you do when he stops? 99% of the people will reward that behavior.
Yeah.
No one rewards the negative reinforcement, but everybody wants to reward what they think the punishment was. That's human psychology, because in their head, if they think they're punishing something, and I've learned this over many years, they feel bad and they want to make themselves feel good.
Yeah. The false sympathy is definitely a motivator for these types of scenarios. I know exactly, like, as you're explaining it, I'm watching someone do it in my head.
Yes.
But this is super pervasive. This also goes into it. And again, this is on the addiction, absolutely, like, almost drug fueled addiction of trainers. I'm not even talking about clients. I mean, clients are like this too, but I think they're taught by trainers of rewarding every behavior.
Yes.
And this being addicted to operant conditioning, like the four quadrants generally, is a horrible trap.
100%.
Because you begin to view the dog, and I did this for literal years, by the way. And the reason why I feel like I have so much clarity and self-awareness on it is I think back and I'm like, holy shit, I was looking at these dogs like they were hard drives on a computer.
Yeah.
And if you are thinking purely in the definitional operant four quadrants, you are thinking from a human-based perspective.
Yes.
And you are no longer, you're stripping the dog of the emotional and social intelligence.
100%.
I have seen comments, dude. I have seen comments. I'm like, dude, like, these are dog trainers where I'll be out with a dog who was, let's say, dog reactive, whatever. And we have a beautiful walk, and I show video where the dog is just free walking. Dogs are barking at him, and he looks and he goes, whatever, dude, I don't care. And, he goes back to his thing. I've had people say you missed a prime opportunity to positively reinforce the non-reaction.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, are you fucking crazy?
Yeah.
So, like, I'll try. If it's a well-natured comment, I won't be mean. Usually these are not well-natured. They're like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking idiot. He didn't reinforce. But, like, with someone that's in good faith, I'll be like, why do you think that I should have positively reinforced that? And they'll say something to the effect of, how is the dog supposed to know to not react if you're not rewarding it?
Yeah.
And this comes from, this is one of the reasons why I think that particularly the force-free ideology is baked in. At its core, it's a disdain for the dogs, and it's a low opinion of the dogs. They're just stupid. They're stupid. They're stupid cowards that if we are not redirecting and rewarding every behavior, they just create superstitious behaviors and associations constantly. And if I am not telling my dog what to do with rewards, he's just going to go start like terrorizing the town and killing people.
Yeah.
And it is rooted in a lack of trust in the animal. And it's everywhere.
Dylan, I had a wonderful lady spend good money with me for a board and train for her dog. Like, really love this woman to death. Great dog, little quirky, but great dog. And I show up to do one of the many after follow-ups to help her. And she tells me she's really struggling with her back and she can no longer pick this dog up and put her in her car. This is a very athletic standard poodle, right? Very athletic. I'm like, what do you mean? Why are you picking this fucking dog up and putting it? Well, she can't jump in. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? This dog can jump over your car. So I said, okay, do this. We're talking on her back porch, or her patio. I said, listen, put the dog in a down, go in and get the leash. She puts the dog in a down. She goes to get the dog, gets up. I said, fix that. And she did. She fixed it 3 times. I said, listen, the next time the dog breaks it, we're going to punish that behavior. This is how I want you to do it. Just by grabbing the collar and going through this little scenario. The first time she did that, the dog stayed there. Okay. Never moved after that. Came out, put a leash on the dog. We went to the car. She opened the door. I said, tell the dog to get in the car. The dog flew in like a missile.
Yeah.
She said, that makes no sense. I said, no, it makes all the sense in the world.
Right.
I'm like, you literally want to celebrate the dog when the dog sits, when you paid me a lot of money for a board and train. I said, how old is your daughter? She said, 46. I said, when she poops on the potty, do you reward her? She said, well, no. I'm like, that's what you're fucking doing. Right? I said, do you know why the dog jumped in the car? She said, why? I said, that's literally the down was the first time you ever made that dog do anything.
Right.
You've never made the dog do anything. You're just so excited, no matter what the dog does, you want to just throw food at it.
So
that's a problem. I mean,
it's funny that analogy. The one I use is, does my mom wire me $20 for blowing my nose? Like, that's what I tell people. But it's such a crucial thing. And I understand the addiction to rewards. And on the dog trainer side, I actually think it's a more interesting topic to chew on, because I'm telling people, like, most trainers that I interact with are fucking awesome people, by the way. I know that I get really pissed off with the state of the industry.
I get it.
But the state of the industry, largely, like the bad actors, I absolutely despise. But people are trying to do the right things. I'm trying to do the right things. I'm just still trying to figure out as I go. But people are drawn to the way that the dogs look with me, right? And they're like, how are you achieving this like natural, free-flowing compliance where I know you're not using rewards? I know you're not. And I tell people, you have to practice. And the reason why trainers are afraid to pull the food back is because they immediately feel the pain of the dog not being as snappy. Right? So they're like, oh my God, now I'm panicking, like I'm actually doing damage to the training because the dog isn't flying into heel the same way as he does when he's appeasing me for food.
Right.
If you can push through that and develop an actual acceptance, it's like the lady with the poodle in the car. It's like, you actually just don't run into those issues ever again.
Yeah.
It's like a systematic benefit, like truly like a scattershot across the relationship with the dog.
But it's very hard to convince people of that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So when listen, I do solo seminars and I do them with Jay and Joel. Those are my favorite because I love being with those two guys. I tell people the same shit every seminar, and that gets old. First of all, me and Jay have talked about how we hate focusing so much on punishment. We fucking hate it.
Yeah.
And we've tried to change it, but you can't.
Right.
Because it's where people struggle.
It's all roads lead to it. This is the thing.
Right. Because so many people and so many trainers struggle with it. But what I tell people, I said, listen, you're going to see Jay punish dogs this weekend, and you're not going to know he punished them. You're not going to know. It's going to be very subtle. But if you understand the formula, then you'll get it. I said, I'm going to make it more obvious, not with force. I'm going to do different scenarios to make it exaggerated so you see all aspects. and hopefully you can start to understand the formula, right?
Yeah.
And no bullshit. I'll give you one example. There was a seminar we were doing where I was working with a working spot, and there was a dog way in the back, big German Shepherd that blew up and went after a dog. And Jay ran over there and he grabbed the dog and he interrupted the behavior. He did some shit. He wound up fucking playing tug with the dog next time goes. And the owner was like, holy fuck, like that was incredible. I can't believe what I just saw. But then this sums it all up. He goes, great guy too. He was an online client of mine. But then he goes, but can I ask one question? And we're like, yeah, sure. What? And he goes, but when would you punish that behavior? And I just fell on the ground. I literally fell down in an exaggerated way and just laid there. I'm like, he punished that dog right in front of you. But because people equate punishment to force and pain and something ugly,
right,
that's why they struggle with it. You understand? So now I had few videos out there, Dylan, that I kept private only for clients, because again, this is something that I promised Ivan I'm not going to show. If I took something that I completely from you, I'm not going to be disrespectful and show it. So I keep it for clients only. But I had to block everything because people started sharing it, of course. Right. In particular, I had 2 videos. I have a Rottweiler that stays with me all the time. Her name is Rhodey. She's basically almost like our dog. We're like our foster home. I love her to death. Super intense dog, tiny, 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 pit bull size, and with a pit bull mentality, but I love her to death. Out of all the time that she has spent with me, I've had to use punishment on her twice. And both times there were very serious situations, and both times I had my phone rolling to video it for her owners. Super valuable information that I shared with clients, but I had to block all the videos because, for one, you get people who think they know what they're looking at, or they think they're better than they are, and they don't understand what they're seeing.
Right.
Or people are like, holy shit, look at this, and want to share it with everyone. So I blocked them because I'm never going to break my word when I give my word to someone. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when it comes to the punishment stuff, for me, I think it's what's lacking the most. One of the things that's lacking the most in dog training is to truly understand it.
Yeah.
Was there a moment in time where you saw something or heard something or did something where the light bulb went off, like the motherfucker moment I had in the course during the punishment segue? Was there that one moment that said, fuck, that's a game changer?
Yeah. There's one dog that if I wish I had videotape of, because I approached this dog, this situation, in ways that would have had people headhunting me, like actually. And the result is so unbelievable. I actually still have a hard time believing it. It's insane. So I had mentioned that I kept taking client dogs while I was taking the course. And it had this weird way. I'm not a superstitious guy, but it felt like the universe was sending me dogs and clients based on material that we were covering in the fucking course. I show up at this lady's house. It's an SOS call. It's an elderly couple. The husband is dealing with severe health issues. He has like an hour of physical activity a day. It's like brutal, right? And the woman is low mobility. Okay. They went to a shelter and they picked up this border collie mutt named Duchess.
Jesus Christmas.
Right. And this dog, I shit you not, I did what I normally do, which is, I have the people leave the dog inside and we talk for a while outside, and they went to a previous like compulsion trainer. One of these, like I've been again, like I've been training dogs for fucking 6,500 years, and you need to heal your dog around the house, and like, oh, this fucking bullshit. And this was like their last chance. Like they don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, like they're definitely being dramatic. There's no way this dog is that bad. I went back and I stood at the edge of their lawn. I'm on the street, and this dog, when they brought her out, was twisting her head 360 degrees like The Exorcist, screaming like a coyote being burned alive. I still have never seen anything like this. frothing at the mouth, just staring at me like crazy. This dog has a couple bites at this point. And I'm looking and I'm like, dude, what are we, like, what am I going to do? I know what I would do before. I'm going to walk the owner through basic obedience. And then I'm like, dude, this dog's going to turn on this lady. I can't tell her to pop a leash and walk.
Right.
This is, what am I going to do? The stuff we were covering in the course at the time was positive punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly something that, again, people would be up in arms and all of the Lima geniuses. Oh my God, you're freaking weird. Like, who would just kill this dog, by the way? And they know it. Punishment is a first option. Punishment as a first option.
Oh, once you see the 2-line thing come out too, people lose their mind.
Oh, they lose their shit.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I think a lot in terms of analogies, and it's like I'm looking at a seriously struggling mental patient, like truly struggling mental patient that has a knife in her hand.
Yeah.
And I have to save you, but I can't do it until the knife is removed.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. You're going to hurt everyone around you. You're going to hurt yourself. You have to be stopped.
Right.
So I had the owner put the dog on a back tie. I went into my car. I got my electric collar, and I was like, here's what we're going to do. You're going to stand here with your line. There's going to be a back tie. You're just, when I give you a little wave, you're going to step away and say the word no, and I'm going to do the rest. And we ran, I don't know, maybe 3 rounds of this. And she sent me a video the next morning of her walking the dog around her neighborhood.
Let me interrupt you. Myra,
Please.
No, you don't have to. You can go work with someone like Dylan, Jay, myself, other people understand it. So that's not exactly true. Myra, so we all have to take the TWC course to find out. Well, listen, there's a lot of people that have learned through Ivan. You can learn from the source, or you can learn from people who are doing correctly. You understand there's a big difference, but there's more that goes into it. Go ahead, Dylan. Sorry to cut you off.
No. You have to learn it from someone that actually knows what's going on.
Yes.
But the dog, like, this was a lady that was having to look both ways taking her dog out to potty.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to take you out to potty at 4 a.m. Like, I'm going to set an alarm.
Yes.
So, like, no one's out there, right? Because if a little girl is riding a bicycle down the street, I could get killed. Like, it's over, right?
Yeah.
And the next lesson, I'm walking the dog myself. The lesson after that, I'd have the dog on a long line at a park playing. And I'm like, dude, like this, the concept that punishment is this thing to be feared and it's a last resort every time. And, you know, if you're having to utilize punishment, again, it all comes back to evidence.
Yeah.
If you are going to make a claim that you can handle dogs like that without utilizing positive punishment, I want you to show me. I just know you're not going to.
So, Dylan, I believe you were there. When I was going through Ivan's course, we just got done through the punishment module. And I was doing a seminar in Florida, and Ivan was there with
Yeah,
Natalia.
I was there for that one. Yeah.
That was fucking nerve-wracking. For one, it was a horrible seminar because the dogs weren't there. And when I started utilizing the 2-line shit that we learned from Ivan, I was doing what a lot of trainers do when they try to replicate it. I was trying to emulate a technique or a method and not really thinking about that there's an emotional, breathing, thinking creature at the end of that line.
Right.
And I knew I wasn't where I needed to be, but he was there, so I got to ask him. I know that was terrible. What could I do better? And that
Can I guess what he said?
Yeah.
Trust? Was it trust?
There was so much, dude. It was really a valuable conversation, and I appreciate him so much for that because it was lengthy, right? Okay. For one, I was putting the dogs in situation I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I was too excited about understanding a technique, and that's what trainers do. Yep. Instead of focusing on just making the dog better and truly connecting with an emotional being.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. We were doing a seminar years ago, a few years back, me, Jay, and Joel, and there was a fucking horrendous pit bull dude, 10 years old, that had been trying to kill dogs for 10 years. Great owner, had done everything she could, every type of training possible, 0 results. We also had a trainer, wonderful woman, had a client dog, German Shepherd, human aggressive, dog aggressive. By the time Saturday came, I'm hanging outside with a group of people, including the woman with the shepherd, the trainer with the shepherd, and she's in tears. And I say, hey, what's going on? Well, you okay? She goes, yeah, I just can't believe this. Look at the dog. I'm like, what about him? She's like, he's hanging around with people and dogs. I don't understand this. I said, well, I told you we'll get you there. And then she goes, well, there's one more thing that's going to get this dog put down. I said, what's that? She goes, he goes after cars bad. I said, well, fuck, here's the highway.
Right.
Let's go up to the highway. So we go up to the shoulder of the highway. She goes, whoa, we're going this close. We're literally on the, I go, yeah, we got 2 lines on him. He can't get away. It's safe.
Right.
First car comes by. He lunges at the car. We go through the routine, but because he already understood the process, it was easy.
Yeah.
Like he was literally, you could see it go off in his head. Like, holy fuck. Okay. No, I fucked up. I'm sorry. Right.
Right.
We did what we did. Second repetition, he goes to lunge at a car, catches himself. I'm like, hey, praise that. Hey, nice job, buddy. Good job. That's what I'm talking about. Nice choice.
Yeah.
This time, third repetition, I say, hey, let's go. We're going to step back, leave the dog there. We go back. We're on 2 lines, so he can't run away. Third car comes by. He turns and comes into a heel and sits next to her, and she's like, holy fuck.
Right.
That week, she was sending videos of that dog out in public, parking lots, cars, people.
Yeah.
And the pit bull, after 10 years of struggling, is out dock diving with dogs all around and barking at him, not giving a fuck. That's how powerful it is when you truly understand punishment.
Yeah. And it's to your point about the car thing being like the second or third issue that you dealt with and how easy it becomes. Isn't it beautiful when you get the conditioned punisher conditioned before you go into the nasty shit?
So fucking easy, dude.
It is so like I've been waiting. My board and train, when the time is right, has to be punished for her reactivity on leash. Like it's been reinforced 10,000 times. But we didn't have a conditioned punisher because I didn't have a reason to initiate punishment. And then this morning she started trying to eat goose shit, and I was like, thank you. So I can just do this right now with your flag calmer.
Yes.
And when we go out for this walk, this is going to be a joke.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful thing when you can build to that. But that's the thing about the seminar format. And I know I gave a story about punishment as a first option sometimes being good. It is, and I never say never, right? If someone said I did this purely force free and it got this result, I'm like, dude, please show me. I'm not going to say that's never possible, whatever. But my preference for punishment, the way that I will utilize it, is so like counterintuitive compared to the when put into the seminar format that I would just like, because it's so personal to me.
Yes.
It's so personal.
So the word that I use is sincerity.
Sincere, right? Yes. Yes.
You have to be sincere with your pleasure. You have to be sincere in your displeasure. 100%.
Yes. And back to the clarity of intentions. There are some dogs like that border collie where we initiated an electric collar punishment event, and we didn't have to have a relationship. We didn't have to have compliance. We didn't have to have anything other than knowing how to recover the emotions. With some dogs, it works, and it's like, fuck, okay, cool. But with some dogs, they need more. Like I want to leverage that thing between us. That sort of like intangible, this understanding that with Inga here, when I go to punish her for blowing up at a dog, we are going in to end 3 years of torment. Right?
Yes.
This is serious. Like, this has to stop. And when it happens, she's going to look at me with pure understanding.
Yes.
And acceptance. Pure. Like it will actually make us closer.
She's going to change the way she feels about you immediately.
Immediately, and in a good way.
Yes.
In a good way. And it will be over. And they're just not going to have to deal with this anymore.
Right.
And it's why it's so hard sometimes for me to like, I just don't. I'm in one dog trainer page on Facebook, and it's only because the administrators are really cool. One of them, Tracy, if you're watching this, you're the goat. But
Tracy, Dog Trainers Lounge.
yes, yeah,
Tracy's fucking awesome.
Tracy runs a tight ship.
Well, listen, I spent some time with Tracy down at her place recently when I was working with Fabian and Gina. Gina's the one who brought me into the group. Tracy is a fucking amazing human being, great dog trainer. Absolutely.
I believe it. Everything that I see her right, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, Tracy's awesome.
But I cannot look at the posts anymore. I can't.
I'm in the same boat, dude.
It hurts. Like, I'm like, dude, I cannot believe people are lying like this. And I mean,
you rarely see me comment in there. I don't say nothing.
Right. The only reason I'm in the page is because someone tried to get a dog pile going on me when I wasn't in the group. And Tracy was like, she shot me a DM. She's like, hey, do you want to come in here? And she didn't put it this way, but it was basically, do you want to like defend yourself?
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, hey, I'll come answer questions if you guys have them. So I stuck around. But the things that people will say about punishment, and these are so-called balanced trainers, the things that they'll say about punishment, like, oh, well, you know, it will just inevitably cause fallout. There's no way around it. The punishment has to be this last thing that it's just a last resort when everything else failed. It's just psychotic.
Well, there was that one post that got a lot of heat that I did chime in on.
Yeah.
And I said,
you did a stream on it. Well, I mean, not on the stream, but
what does the dog look like? What's it telling you?
Right.
Like, what's the final results? Yeah, Tracy's really, really great about that. I really like Tracy a lot. Gina is the one who brought me into the group. Gina and Fabian, fucking phenomenal. I had a good time down there with them. That's definitely a bright side in dog training for sure. Yeah. Because Lord knows we fucking need it. Now, you said something before about the electric collar, right? Yeah. This is the one place where we have a little disagreement. Not as much as you might think, right?
Yeah.
But we definitely have some disagreement in there. And it's the same thing at the podcast that me and Ivan did, right? Which I'm not fucking with you, Dylan. When I tell you, I still get messages about that podcast to this day.
You know, I actually haven't really. I think I turned it on for like 10. I don't even think I watched it. Like,
don't. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Like,
it's I don't necessarily think it's horrible. I will admit, I'm not like. I wish I was. I'm not a podcast guy for whatever reason. Like the format, I enjoy being on a show like this. Like, it's really fun to participate. I can't get into listening to it. But sorry, keep going.
So, where we disagree. Let's just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Lack of conditioning, backward conditioning, right? Yes. That's where we disagree. But what is your take on that? Now, let me give you my take first. When me and Ivan did that podcast, do you remember why it even came about?
No, I actually don't have the background on it.
Most people don't, right? So they want to chime in and take sides. And believe me, I got a lot of messages that were very hateful towards Ivan. And I said, no, this is the one thing I tell people. Go back and watch it. I never disagreed with what Ivan was saying. He's not wrong. He's not wrong with the usage of the e-collar. Where I disagree with him is you're looking at it from a perspective of someone that knows how to actually train a dog.
Mm-hmm.
The people that I have focused on for the past many, many years, I think I made my first e-collar video 18 years ago, 19 years ago. It wasn't because, this is scientifically the best way. I know what I'm doing. It was because I was sick and tired of dogs being destroyed by the tool.
Yeah.
And if you look back, Dylan, at the beginning of when e-collars started getting used, I believe it was the late 50s, early 60s. I was first introduced to e-collars. I am 53. I was probably about 8 years old. I was a bird hunter. I was around a lot of bird dogs. My family had bird dogs. I saw e-collars used. It was fucking awful. Awful. You'd see dogs taking off in the woods and them getting fried and running faster and farther away. So I despised the tools. Okay. Then you come into the early 2000s where the internet's starting to take off and we're starting to see some videos and there's some dog stuff and there's certain people utilizing e-collars. And I was like, wait a second. These dogs don't look the way the dogs that I remember. And I started having a curiosity. And I jumped full-blown into it, working with some of the biggest name in the e-collar world. And back then, it was almost all simultaneous conditioning. Right at that moment, that made no sense to me. I didn't like it. It made no sense to me. I saw dogs that weren't so strong looking like shit and being completely shut down, at least for a good amount of time before they just got used to it. And I saw very strong dogs looking phenomenal until they fucking imploded from the pressure. And that's the facts. There's no way to get around it. I was there. I fucking saw it. And there's things that people that are real big in the e-collar world will never divulge or talk about. I saw it. I was there, right? So after a while, I said, there's got to be a better way. I found a better way from some of the best people out there. I didn't create or invent anything. Nothing. Never have. Okay? I just took what better people were doing and made it in a very simple way for the everyday dog trainer to do that. Even when they messed up the training, they wouldn't fuck up the dog. That was the whole premises of it. All right. So then you'd have people say, well, they shouldn't be using e-collars. Yeah, no shit, but they're going to.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
We have to be realistic about this, right? So I'm very critical of myself. I have a lot of flaws. I make mistakes all the time. I contradict myself all the time. But the one thing I will say, again, I didn't invent this. I was loud enough and showed enough dogs that after a while, I literally have not hundreds, not thousands, but tens of thousands of everyday people that were struggling forever say, holy fuck, my dog is completely off leash and my problems are gone. Because for one, getting your dog off leash is a very positive thing in dealing with your big problems.
100%.
Me and you didn't touch on that, but I know we both feel the same way.
Yeah. 100%.
Right? So the way the podcast came with me and Ivan, in case anyone doesn't remember, this is what happened. There was a trainer that put out a video. If I remember correctly, it was a Cane Corso. And she was utilizing the e-collar before the command. And the whole time the dog was on its way to a place board. I could be making some, but I'm almost positive that's what it was. And Ivan ripped it apart. He's not so vocal on too many commenting on people's videos, but he was on that one. Said, this is stupid. This is bullshit. This makes no sense. And I do agree with him. He wasn't wrong. Like, I don't disagree with that, right? But it created this massive argument where people were agreeing with him and people against him. And it got fucking ugly, dude. And then because it was a female trainer, he was an asshole. He was misogynistic, all this stuff. Had nothing to do with that. It was straight up dog training. And as I'm watching this, I keep saying to myself, please don't bring my name up. Please don't bring. I'm literally watching this. And eventually someone says, you should do a podcast with Larry Krohn. I'm like, fuck. And then more people, yeah. So I said, you know what? Fine, I'll do it. And I knew exactly how it was going to go. Right. And people still have a lot of hatred for not hatred towards me, but still think that I was so wrong on that end. But a lot of people do have a lot of hatred for Ivan for that podcast, but which I say, no, he wasn't wrong. He's not wrong in saying what he did. And if you watch the podcast, you see I never disagree with him. But again, he's coming from a standpoint of someone that knows what they're doing. Right? Do you need to condition a dog to be effective with the e-collar? No. Do I? No. As a matter of fact, if you go back 15 years with my own dogs, one of the claims I used to say is, listen, give me just about any dog, and in 3 days I'll have him completely off leash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every dog within 5 days. I don't care
Yeah.
what the issue is. And here's the thing, Dylan. I wasn't lying, but it was a lot of ego talking, and I didn't think how people would take that. And so what people started doing was, oh, okay, I'm just going to do it the way he does. And I saw people fucking up dogs because of what I said, because I didn't believe that people cared what I said. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I started paying attention. And what I realized was if I make people take their time and spend a little time conditioning the dog, teaching them, if we're using negative reinforcement, it's our job to teach the dog how to escape something in order to avoid it, right? It's our job to teach them that. Pretty easy to do if we do it the right way. Doesn't take long. But when you have people that don't know how to use a leash, can't deliver a piece of food in a proper way, and you put electric in their hands, it creates problems. But what creates more problems is when you only try to use the tool as an aversive as you can, as I can. For one, it limits the things you could do with it. But if you go back to the late 50s, early 60s, that's what everyone was trying to do. And we have destroyed thousands and thousands of dogs by trying to do so. No one can deny that. We've just destroyed them. Not because the lack of conditioning fucks up dogs, it's because the lack of understanding in dog training fucks up dogs, right?
Yeah.
So when we compare backward conditioning to forward conditioning, me and you aren't going to disagree that forward conditioning makes more sense to a dog. Right? We're not going to disagree on that. Me and you are going to agree. And for people watching this that don't understand, that means when we talk about forward conditioning, let's say if we're using a leash and a collar teaching a sit, it's sit and then pop, 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 dog sits. That's forward conditioning. We're giving the dog the opportunity, right? As opposed to bang, 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 sit. That makes no sense. It's not the proper way. We agree with that, right, Dylan?
Oh, for sure. 100%.
But I think when we get into the e-collar, I don't think it falls into other categories as all the other tools. I think there's a novelty there and a foreign understanding to the dog and please tell me anytime you disagree. I'm never going to be offended. This is the part I was looking forward to because I think this is what people want to hear, the disagreement. It's easy to suck each other's dick and be like, oh, yeah, you're amazing, right?
No, there's a saying in TV, if you have two hosts for a show and they agree on everything, you have one too many hosts.
That's right, right.
Literally.
But for me, I truly believe, and this just comes through experience, that I think if you pop a leash, bump a dog with your leg, touch him with your hand, I think all those things make sense to the dog. I think the first time a dog feels electric, I think every dog has the same reaction, and that's a little bit of confusion.
Yeah.
You know, it's so foreign to a dog, it's confusion.
Yes.
I think we can utilize that to our benefit right in the beginning. Okay. Now, I think when it comes to backward conditioning, which I hate even talking about backward conditioning, because if you look at all the studies throughout the years, it's hard to say that's backward conditioning because it's so utilized in different ways in scientific studies. Okay. You have aversive backward conditioning, which I'm totally against. And you have appetitive backward conditioning is more of introducing a neutral stimulus, which leads to something good. Very different things. So I think you can get wrapped around that shit and really confuse people. And I hate doing that shit, right? But I think if you were to, let's use the leash, for example. If you were to apply really light pressure on a leash without saying anything, and be like, come on, buddy, let's go. And he turns and comes to you and you mark and reward that. For me, that would fall under more of appetitive backward conditioning. But if you really study appetitive backward conditioning, and I'm no science expert, but I do try to read all of these studies the best to my ability, appetitive backward conditioning falls more under classical conditioning than operant conditioning.
Yeah. It gets
And
weird.
that's what a lot of people don't know or talk about.
Right.
Right. So in the e-collar, if you introduce it as a negative, let's say we press that button down and the dog's like, what the fuck is that? Yeah, I'm not for that. Right. I'm not for that. More along the lines of appetitive backward conditioning, where it's as neutral as possible, leading to something good. But again, when I read all these studies, and some of them, you know what they actually say, Dylan? I encourage, you've probably read them already. But if you read some of the studies on backward, especially when they talk about appetitive backward conditioning, they say, there's not enough done to study this stuff, but there's something here that we need to look into. And that blows my mind how little has been done about that situation, about dealing with the e-collars that way. Where I think people really screw up, and I think I'm safe to say we'll both agree with this. People tend to do what makes them feel good, no matter what you say, right? So even though I could tell someone, look, guys, when I'm talking about conditioning a dog to the e-collar, that shit's over quick. Like after the first day, maybe 2 days, I'm never utilizing the e-collar before a command again.
Right.
They don't hear that part.
Right.
They don't hear that part.
No,
so they talk about dogs walking around scared, waiting for the zap coming from the e-collar. They don't hear that part, right? But in my opinion, and I'm going to give you plenty of time to go over this because I know people are interested in this. In my opinion, I've done it every way. In my opinion, when you're dealing with every type of dog, from the most scared, timid, shut down kind of dog to the most confident, toughest, difficult dog, when you first introduce that e-collar on a neutral level and the dog goes, what the fuck is that? And you give the dog that command, let's just use a recall in this example, or go away from me, I don't care, that he knows well, and that command that the dog knows well eliminates that very strange sensation and produces something good, for me, that command becomes that much stronger. Not because of what I'm thinking in my head, but from what I see. But at the same time, if you produce something that's highly aversive to the dog and do it backwards, I think that's a big problem, right? But for me, I think if you introduce at neutral levels, and again, with negative reinforcement, it's our job to teach the dog the way out, escape it. In my opinion and in my experience, and I have a lot of experience with this, getting the dog to avoid it later on becomes very easy. I think where people fuck up is they get so caught up on the low level bullshit that they start introducing it on low levels, and then they feel good about themselves and they see the dog doing great, but then they try to reinforce known behaviors or commands in the real world, or try to stop behaviors in the real world on low levels. I will tell you from my perspective, and I think you will agree with this, tell me if I'm wrong, you will fail 100% of the times, right? That does become a problem.
Yeah.
With that being said, I have never had to use very high levels on any of my dogs, but it's not because of the e-collar stuff. Right. It's because of the overall training.
Right.
And that's what people want to ignore. So when me and Ivan had the podcast, I never disagreed with what he was saying, but he's looking at it from one perspective and I'm looking at it from another perspective. And that's for the majority of the people that put this tool in their hand that can't teach their dog to fucking sit with a piece of food properly. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
The floor is yours. Fire away, buddy.
Yeah, there's a lot of angles to chew on with this, because you have the dog, you have the conversation about the implications in the broader dog training, like consciousness, like how people perceive the tool and how it should be used. Sort of like you were touching on part of the issue where people are out there trying to stop dangerous behaviors with like the dog's working level.
Yes. Please repeat that for people.
Yeah, it's just craziness. And then you've got the issue of teaching clients, like people that are just like dog owners. I don't have experience. So I believe, so I did the stim conditioning thing for 3.5 years.
I know you did. Yeah.
And I realized that there, I don't remember what I came into contact with. I don't know if it was a forum or if it was a YouTube video. I actually don't remember what it was. But there was a point where I realized I don't have logical, like I can't answer some of these questions.
Yeah.
And anytime I'm in a situation where I'm doing something with dog training, I try to apply this to my entire life, but like dog training, I'm obsessive with trying to get better.
Sure.
If I can't say why I'm doing something, I start to question, like, should I be doing it? Right. And I think this is a realm that trainers are just petrified to go to for some reason. I start experimenting.
Sure.
I'm like, I'm going to challenge, but like, I'm just going to fuck around and find out.
But by the way, it's brilliant that you said that, because if you don't experiment on your own, you will never grow.
Never. Like it's impossible. I'm constantly, as much shit as I talk sometimes on the internet, I am constantly looking for ways to prove myself wrong.
Yes.
Literally. Like I am like, please, like I need to get better at all costs. I will break myself. If I have to go double back and say I was wrong about everything, I will do it if there's a better way.
Yeah.
But the only way to do that is to check on stuff, right? And this is sort of where, not sort of, this is how I figured out at least my style or my stance about positive reinforcement being brutally overrated. I was like, I'm going to take this next really fucked up dog and I'm just like, we're going to play, but it's not going to be for obedience.
Yeah.
We're going to play because it's who we are.
Right.
But I'm not going to go out and reward him for doing things for me. And that dog was better.
Yes.
And I was like, holy shit. Right. So like you have to be able to stop and start tweaking the dials and turning things, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to take 3 dogs. I'm going to take 3 dogs in a row. I don't know what they're going to be. I think one of them maybe was a private lesson, and then the next 2 were board. It was something like that. And I'm not going to do any conditioning. And I had been doing it, again, for years. Every single dog, I paired the electric collar backwards conditioning with food rewards, typically on a recall or something. And since those 3 dogs, I have not gone back.
When you used to do the conditioning, give me your process, how long you'd spend there, Dylan.
I think that definitely at the beginning, I like got drunk on it, like you were talking.
Yes.
Where it's like I'm just like, well, actually the e-collar is a clicker, guys. Like I was doing, and this is getting into sort of like the consciousness of dog training, why I think the stim conditioning is actually really damaging. There are trainers that literally believe their dogs like electricity.
Yes.
Like
yes.
literally. And
my dogs love the e-collar.
Right,
you hear it all the time.
Right. And I don't doubt that your dog was classically conditioned to see the e-collar. No, we're going out and doing things. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful sign that you guys have a functioning relationship. But he doesn't like getting stimmed, dude. Like if you go to stop him from going after a car, like your dog earlier, and you do it in a way that matters, he did not like that event.
Right.
Like he's walking away from that going like, that was bad, right? Mm-hmm. And he didn't need to have repetitions with food to be a living organism going, electricity's bad.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the thing is that, back to that video, it was funny you brought up that video that got shared to that dog training page. This was where I became really aware of this problem. This kind of like balance trainer. I use aversives, fuck the force free, but I don't use aversives like that guy over there. Like this weird, like kind of like cannibalism that goes on. It's it's really cringy and unhelpful. But people watch the video of me punishing that dog, and most people were actually like, hey, like it worked. Clearly, you see the dog playing with the same dog 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
I set up a scenario 2 weeks later where that dog magically showed up in my yard. Those 2 dogs started playing, right? Like they were best friends from years ago. There were people that said, this is what proper e-collar conditioning does. And I just said, hey, the dog wasn't conditioned to the electric collar. Those people that liked the training didn't like it anymore.
Yes, I get it.
Literally, like I'm talking about people saying, "Wow." By the way, that same dog, he's been home for like 9 months, whatever.
No, I get it.
He plays with dogs. Like it's like, guys, like it actually fixed the problem, and that is really destructive because now there is a scenario where people, I'm assuming they have fully developed frontal lobes, they're looking at a dog that was fixed and they're saying it was bad, right? Like that is low stim conditioning. That is. I'm not saying that it's directly responsible, but it's like a spawn of that.
No, I agree. I agree with you there totally. And listen, to be fair, I think I've been part of the problem with that, right? Because I started to realize what people are capable of, the mass numbers, and that's all I cared about. You understand?
Sure. Yeah.
So once I realized, let's talk about Hazel, the white dog you asked about earlier.
Yeah.
When I introduced her to the e-collar, I did probably 4 or 5 repetitions, backward conditioning, working recalls, maybe 2 away from me to a place before I punished her very aversively for chasing a rabbit. That's it. And now the tool is there if I need it to reinforce things she knows. That's it. The problem, Dylan, is when you tell someone that, they try to replicate that. And I don't know if I'm right or wrong in taking this route. I really don't. I think sometimes it's beneficial. I think sometimes it's detrimental. I think sometimes one of my biggest flaws is being overly conservative and worrying so much about what everyone does with their dog.
Yeah.
And it comes from a good place, but I don't know if I'm doing the right thing.
Well, it is like a legitimate moral quandary. The sort of the thought of like the collective responsibility thing. It's like if Tony Hawk is skateboarding on television, is there going to be a copycat that goes and breaks his legs?
Right.
Like it's going to fucking happen, dude. Like and like my stance is that again on the state. I think we are also in agreement that the state of dog training as it is right now, like in the pet world specifically, is atrocious.
It couldn't be any worse.
It's actually so bad that when you try to talk to trainers about how bad it is, you actually can't, they don't get how bad it is.
Right.
Like the depths of it, like the more you understand about dog behavior, it goes from being like, wow, people are being scammed to dogs are being psychologically tortured.
Dylan, there's a trainer that has a much bigger following than me. He comes across as close as a force-free trainer as could be without saying it. Massive person, great in front of the camera. I don't like the motherfucker because I know who he really is. But people that I respect a great deal think he's fantastic because of how good he is on video.
Yeah.
I had a private client recently that does not have a difficult dog and is really struggling. And our first session, I was like, this is insane. He's a great dog. Like, what did your last trainer tell you? And when she told me, it was brutal. It was, you're not being hard enough on the dog.
Right.
And I said, who the fuck is this trainer?
Yeah.
And she literally told me it's this individual who really comes off as a very force-free trainer.
Yeah.
And I was like, but when you tell people that, they think you're looking for attention and you're full of shit.
Right.
Once we got this dog playing and introducing rules and boundaries, and there were consequences for this dog, changed completely.
Yeah.
Like session one.
Yeah.
Like it's pure fucking insanity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So if
you're saying,
I could probably pull a name out. I mean, I probably know you. I don't know if you remember DMing me one time when I made reference to a client dog that I had that had recently been to like a big time, and you DM'd me a name and you were like, you don't have to confirm. I was like, holy fuck.
Yes. I get a lot of those. I get a lot of that person.
Yeah, I was like, man, what did I say that cued you? But anytime I'm taking a phone call from someone, a prospective client, and this is a cheat code I'm giving out to the masses that I probably shouldn't, but it is what it is. If someone says I went to this trainer, I clear time in my calendar.
Yes.
Because I want to see what our so-called heroes are doing. And it is fucking astonishing. Like behavioral master, international tours, treat sponsorships, DVD sets, multiple facilities, a legion of trainers and the company logo vans and destroyed dogs.
Yeah. You're awesome, Karen. I adore working with you. Karen's a great individual. She's been through it. She's been through what we're talking about.
It's being on the trainer end, like we get mad, but being the person that actually gets fleeced and having your dog get worse is brutal. It's a terrible experience. So I look for these people because, again, one, I want to know what the best in the world are doing.
Yeah.
And two, I feel almost responsible on behalf of the craft to try to do something for the dog that actually might help.
But Dylan, we both have something against us that hurt us both, me and you. And I think this is something that attracted me to you, and almost like sometimes I want to call you and say, hey, dude, this is going to be a problem for you. We both are easy to dislike.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like we say things how we feel, and so it's just, I think someone did a podcast recently about me. A big part of it was about me, and it wasn't even in a bad way, but they're
I think I was mentioned in this one too, by the way. I didn't watch. Again,
yes,
I'm not a podcast guy. I saw that I was like,
yes, we were both mentioned in it. And at first I was kind of upset about it because I was like, why would you just assume that about me?
Yeah.
But then I was grateful that at least once you got to spend some time with me, that your preconceived opinions of me, like, let's put it this way. Politics don't fall into dog training ever for me.
Literally zero. Yeah.
If you're thinking that way, that's on you. That's a problem, because that's not something that ever even crosses my mind.
No.
Like, I truly care about this fucking animal so much. That's all I care about.
Right.
I don't care who you are, what color your skin is, who you're sexually attracted to, where you're from, what your belief system is, I don't give a fuck. But I think the second you start thinking of those things, the dog's not your top priority.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And, I say something kind of as a joke, but it's at least in part serious. I am not here to make friends.
Yeah.
I'm not. However, if I can tell your intentions with the dogs, we will be friends.
Yes.
I don't need to know anything else. This is dog training, dude. And I mean, not necessarily friends, but like I will have a respect, and like I'll ask for your help and I'll refer people to you. I genuinely don't care about the window dressing details.
Right.
I have people that follow me that are like literal communists. I don't care.
Yeah.
I have people that follow me that are boomers with Punisher logos on their monster trucks. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like if I can tell that you're in it to try to get good, I'm just trying to get as good as I physically can at training these dogs.
Yeah.
If anyone else, if I can detect that in anyone else, I don't need to know anything. Like, you're cool. I'm here with you.
I'm not gonna lie. That's the one thing that bothers me when someone prejudges me. They think they know who I am. Like, that upsets me very much.
Here's something about the language in particular with dog training that I do very deliberately. And again, this is a peek behind the curtain. I run prediction errors with human beings effectively, because I will use language. I'm not trying to make anything dramatic. I'm just speaking the reality of what I'm doing with the dogs. There was an interaction on my comment section, I think it was yesterday, and Jay's going to come up again here, where I actually caused a prediction error in a person that caused them to rethink the concept of aversives and punishment. Where this person commented, because Jay was talking about punishment, and he had compared like our methodologies, and this guy responded. He was like, Jay, with all respect, Dylan proudly boasts that he used an emotionally devastating moment with a dog. Like, you would never do anything like that. And Joe was just like, hey, my punishments work because they're emotionally devastating.
Yeah, the majority of Jay's punishment is emotional.
Right. So, but the key is there that I said something that is true as far as I can tell. The punishment that I did, I don't know what dog they're referencing, but I'm sure it was a moment that needed to matter. And
Yeah,
I'm not going to say, yeah, guys, I made her realize she shouldn't do that. No, dude, I got in her face and I said, yo, you made me upset. I made her feel that. So by saying emotionally devastating, that's going to cause some reaction in people that assume the worst. But then they talk to someone like Jay, who they're assuming is against it, or they see the dogs and they have to reconcile it. Like, wait,
yeah,
Dylan just said that the dog wasn't e-collar conditioned, which to me means if he used it as an aversive, it's totally unfair, but it worked.
yeah.
So like it's actually causing this moment of like question.
Listen, Dylan, because of the way I've preached and shown and done the e-collar stuff, there were a lot of people that I'd see arguments behind the scenes that I won't use the e-collar to correct the dog or punish the dog. And I used to have to chime in, that's not true.
Right.
And then on the flip side, I used to go live from seminars and people would warn me not to do that. And I would say, well, why? They said, well, you're going to make mistakes. I'm
Right.
like, well, that's dog training. I'm
That's fucking
okay
how
with
it
that.
works. Yeah, yeah.
And they said, okay, well, what if it's so boring no one wants to go to a seminar? I said, fucking great. I'll stay home and train my own dogs and hang with my family.
Right.
Right. So there was a seminar I did several years ago in Nebraska. And I think it was the second day. The owner of the facility that was hosting me came to me and she was hesitant to tell me what she had going on. And I was like, hey, what's up? Just say it. She had this pit bull there that was so over the top, she was embarrassed to bring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, fuck it, we're here. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Bring it out. And prior to that, this dog was serious. Like he attacked a statue of a dog. Like he was no joke. Right. So they bring this dog out, and I'm like, fuck, man. Yeah, this dog is a lot, you know? And I'm thinking, and I may not do the same thing today, but back then I'm thinking, I'm like, okay. And I say on live, I'm like, look, I'm going to do something now that I preach about all the time. I'm going to tell you, I preach against this, but I truly think in this moment, it's the best thing to do. And what I did was when the dog came out, he started going fucking apeshit, and I tapped him on the e-collar at a very high level. And he had a visible response to it. But I mean, literally just tapped him, and he had a visible response, and then we started to work. And it was fine. You can't imagine the people that came out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
You can't imagine.
Yeah.
You know, now that dog went on to be able to go to group classes and participate and function like a regular dog, not because what I did at that moment, but because of what we were able to do there. The trainer who was dealing with him saw that, holy fuck, he could be a normal dog.
Right.
I had very little to, I had maybe 5% at most to do with that dog succeeding, but it gave the trainer hope that I can do this, which she did, succeeded but people use that against me like you wouldn't believe, dude.
Yeah. I mean, side note in the dog behavior, that's a very interesting thing, is that not only did the owner and the trainer see that the dog could be normal, the dog felt normal for like a little while.
Yes.
And by the way, this is one thing that dog daddy sometimes accidentally gets right. And then he does nothing with it, by the way. He does absolutely nothing with it because there's no follow-up. But there is value sometimes when you've got, how do people call it, like red zone or whatever.
Yeah.
Where like it only ever goes one way, which is when I go into this state, there is no information input, there is no stopping. Having it stop is a prediction error.
All right.
Now again, my boy DD, he doesn't know any of this. He has no fucking clue.
Right.
But like there is immense value in the dog seeing that I I can come off of that and be coherent. And then if we start training, better yet, if you can make play happen, which sometimes isn't possible with these dogs, now it's like a total mind warp for a dog that only knew suffering.
Yeah.
And that can be of immense value. But here's my issue. We know how bad things are. Things are not this bad because people are showing too much real dog training. It's the exact opposite, actually. Dog owners and people that are starting in dog trainers are fed highly curated, edited deceptively, smoke and mirrors,
Yes.
street performer, scam information on a regular basis. And it is partly because the good intentioned people are petrified of backlash, for sure. But it's also because the people that have 300,000 TikTok followers, they know that they don't actually have any dog training to show. So it's like I have to do some bullshit. That is not getting us anywhere. That is keeping us here.
Mm-hmm.
The only way forward, if I, and again, I'm not trying to act like I'm fucking Christ on the cross here, but like I will take the shots and show actual shit happening.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine. And I know that I it's an agreement. I know that there's going to be punishment, right? Like there's going to be people calling for me to be arrested. There's going to be crazy shit. Like I get it. And I'm not saying that doesn't bother me, but like things cannot go on the way that they're going.
Well, look, the one thing that you can always count on for me, and I do this with kids that I deal with in the area, or my son's friends, or when it comes to sports. I'm very honest, and I care about people doing well, right? That have something to offer. And I'm not bullshitting you, I'm not blowing smoke. I'll always be honest. Eventually, people will come for you. You're going to say something that create problems for yourself. But overall, you're doing really important stuff, and you can't stop. You have to keep showing it because that's what's needed today. Believe me when I tell you, one person can't do it. So the people prior to you that have kept trying to do what's needed and what's right, you're taking it to the next level and you're doing it in a very outstanding way. So don't fucking stop.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I am this is the first thing I found in my life where I'm actually like relentless. Like I can't, like I'm addicted. Like I just up until dog training, I was just floating around aimlessly. Now I'm like, dude, I have like I really love this.
Yeah.
And I love the dogs. And it doesn't take a lot to make their lives better.
Yeah.
So if I can just show it, then I'm going to continue, you know?
No, it's important, you know, and we're in an industry where people make a lot of money for being fraudulent.
Yeah, well, in sports they have trophies and placings. You can actually mathematically gauge how good you are.
Yes.
In pets, the only thing, and it's not even close, but it gets close enough, is showing dogs.
Yeah.
It's the only thing. And I think what we need is less tolerance for people that just talk.
Yes.
Like you do not get to claim authority for that. Right?
Yeah. One of the things we talked about, one of the subjects, Dylan, was how short leashes are really creating problems.
Oh my God, yeah.
Run with it, buddy.
I do think that there's part of the short leashes tradition for sure. But back to the insecurity, and this is something that I used to be like this, so I'm very familiar. Trainers are petrified that the dog is going to enjoy the environment. The reason why they are petrified of that is because they are inherently looking at dog training as adversarial.
Yes.
Meaning that I've got this dog that is looking for reasons, actively searching for reasons to blow me off. So if I allow him to indulge on his senses, I'm just shooting myself in the foot.
Right.
But you miss so many points. You've got the fulfillment angle, but it goes deeper than that. What about cooperation? What about a shared mission? Like, this is a big deal with out of control dogs. With me, it's like when we go out, the dog feels like I'm with my guy and we're exploring in the woods. Not like, it's not a scenario where he's looking over his shoulder like, I need to wait for Dylan to drop his guard so I can run. The dog's looking at me like, yo, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, it's you and me. And it's tough because I used to be every step is in heel and all these things. And by the way, I teach a non-negotiable heel. Like, you have to.
Right.
It's very functional, and it
Yes.
is a great way to enforce your will and to teach clients to proactively enforce their will. Very, very useful.
Sure.
I will never dunk on teaching that. It's very important to me.
Well, to me, if you can't teach your dog to walk nicely in a heel with you, forget about fixing bigger problems.
100%. Yeah. That's like a baseline skill test.
Yes.
It's like, if you can't meet that, we need to figure this basic shit out.
Yeah.
That's a very good way to look at it. It's like, this is an exercise that proves to me you're ready to start weightlifting. It's like, if you can hit 10 push-ups, okay, we're going to let you go into the weight room.
Sure.
But until that point, like, you need to start eating peanut butter and drinking milk and fucking like doing something. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, for sure. The long line, dude. I mean, I could go off for fucking. I posted a video again. I've got this general anxiety disorder. The dog's gonna be like this forever. Fluoxetine and Prozac and fucking and all this type of shit. And it's like, I just took her on the first real walk for her in her entire life.
Yeah.
In the middle of a town, on a 12-foot line, and this is getting into like allowing the dogs to make mistakes and all of that, but which the long line can allow. Allowing her to show me what's going on, perform the behavior to completion, not glued to my side in a heel, look at me, and then have the realization that this thing that I've been doing forever doesn't actually amount to anything. It doesn't go anywhere. Like, in the video, you can see the look on the dog's face. She's like, why did I just go off on that guy?
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing? And I'm letting her go on the line.
Yeah.
Right? The guy walks by, and I let her follow him. And then she just starts sniffing the ground. Like, what the fuck was I doing?
Yeah.
If that dog is glued to me on a 5-foot line or whatever, that whole level of self-awareness and discovery is restricted.
Dylan, I was on a pack hike recently, not with my group, but with another trainer. And I was not in the best state of mind. I was pissed off. I was having a bad day. It was a lot going on, all right, to say the least. I came across someone in this pack hike that had a pity, bully breed. Had a muzzle, prong collar, e-collar, short line, and literally the whole time fight.
Yeah.
And I said, why are you doing that? Like, literally, with a bad attitude. Like, it wasn't my best moment, right?
Yeah.
And they said, well, like, he's super dog aggressive and super people aggressive. I said, okay. I said, get rid of the fucking short line, take the muzzle off, put a 15 or 20-foot line, and let him be a fucking dog and enjoy this hike. That's all I said. And then I moved forward. I was so fucking pissed, you know? I got a message a week later and said, that advice changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, my dog is no longer going after people and dogs. He's like a different dog.
Yep.
Like, no bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
that's
sometimes people do have to be nuked. And like with a client, knowing when they need it, it's kind of like with dogs. It's like you do clear intentions, rapport building, develop cooperation. And then if I have to get serious with a client, there won't be that emotional fallout. Sometimes people need to hear that, like, dude, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
But the long line stuff is just totally paradigm shifting. And it's more of a sign that I trust you. I trust in what we're doing together. I want you to be you. You know what I mean? I don't need to hoard your attention.
Well, they get to be who they are.
Lunatic.
They get to be who they are.
Yes. The most effective dog training works along the reality of the animal, not in denial of the animal. And absolutely, there are some parts where you have to say, no, you cannot do that. Yeah. So this is where, again, like, all roads lead back to punishment. It's really, and I think about this constantly. I'm like, man, it really does just come down to this. I couldn't give this level of freedom with some of these dogs if I didn't have the capability to be like, no.
What do you think the biggest misunderstanding general public, general dog trainers don't understand about punishment.
I think on a higher level, it's not limited to punishment, but it's human perception first. So it's like my procedures, what I was taught in this YouTube video, what I saw this trainer do, or what my mentor does, whatever. And everything is focused on your performance and not how the dog is perceiving it. The same
Yes.
thing goes for reinforcement too, by the way.
Sure.
There are plenty of dogs that are being shoveled treats that are fucking miserable.
Yes.
Miserable. And that picture of, yeah, I'm a behavioral expert, but at the end of my 8-week program, my client's dog is muzzled on a 5-foot line walking in a public park. That dog, all you did was change what his prison looks like.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
This isn't reinforced. This is not. I don't care if you're giving him food. You're fucking his life up. So it's the same goes. The same goes for punishment. And what's a really interesting phenomenon, and I don't know if you've ever run into this before. I've had clients just through intuition before coming to dog training accidentally punish something properly, and I'm like, what was the behavior? And I don't know if Derek is still in the chat here, but he's one of the guys that comes off the top of my head where he was like, I've had problems with this dog forever, human aggression, reactivity, whatever. And one day when he blew up at an old lady outside of the car window, I just went on autopilot. I was like, I have to let him know this is wrong. He explained what he did. And I was like, Derek, you just did the positive punishment protocol.
Now, do you, when I put it in human terms, and I always give Ivan credit for this, it's the best analogy I have heard, human edition. The guy speeding in the Ferrari. Do you remember it? Okay. So for the people out there, this is very important. This is the best analogy. I've heard good analogies before that I've used, but I believe Ivan's was the best. So it's straight from him. And you guys could think about it on a dog training way. Okay. Use it. So the analogy is you have a guy, he's driving a Ferrari. He's heading to the airport to catch a flight. He gets pulled over for speeding, right? Cop comes up, hits him with $100 ticket for speeding. First of all, $100 ticket for someone driving a Ferrari is bullshit. No one fucking cares, right? Sends him on his way. He's off to go what he has to do. Second day, same scenario, same guy comes flying by, speeding in a Ferrari. Same cop pulls him over. Bam, another $100 ticket. Okay. Third day, same situation. Cop pulls him over, speeding now. And I'm just paraphrasing here, going quick. Now the cop's a little fucking annoyed. This is 3 days in a row. Guy's doing the same thing. Hasn't learned nothing. Now he takes his license. He takes his insurance, his registration. He's taking his time. That guy just wants his ticket. Fuck, give me $1,000 ticket. Set me free, right? But he doesn't. He takes his time. He doesn't go through it quickly. He runs all his information. He eventually comes back, slaps him with another $100 ticket. Never increased it. Now the guy gets to the airport, but because that cop took his time, took a little longer, now the guy driving the Ferrari misses his flight. That's the punishment. The ticket was the interrupter. Everyone that tries to stop a behavior uses the interrupter, the $100 ticket. They never, ever get to the punishment.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say about that. You guys can let your wheels turn. Once you understand that, and once you could implement that into your dog training, things are going to be very different. I have this Rottweiler here that's possibly the best bred Rottweiler I've ever dealt with. She decided she's going to start eating rocks. When a Rottweiler starts eating rocks, I've been there with my own, it becomes very dangerous. Right? Very dangerous. I punished that very personally, directly, me and the dog and a leash, one time. Now I could throw rocks all over the ground. She doesn't care. But if I would have done what everyone else does to try to so-called punish that, I would never break that. Never.
Quick mention too, the things that are possible with the flat buckle collar, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people hate the flat buckle collar? I don't get it.
I
And
spent the first 10 years of my career with a leash and a flat buckle collar. No food, no e-collars, no nothing.
I'm not opposed to the prong collar. Like, I actively promote their use constantly. Like, yeah, please, like, do it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I'm also very minimalistic when I can be.
Sure.
And it's just like one less thing that my client has to worry about.
Yes.
And I mean, you know how it is. Like, the more you add on, it doesn't matter how simple it is. It's just like this exponential mental load.
Yeah,
Where the client's like, I have one more step to prepare the dog before I go out the door. It's like the flat buckle collar to me is just like where it all is. But then again, like, I would be a lunatic if I sent home that Saint Bernard on a flat buckle collar to a woman that is like, again, like 4'10". Like,
sure.
that's like insane.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, but here's the thing, Dylan. If you train that dog on a flat buckle collar, and then that 4'11" woman puts a prong collar on that dog, what you did on the flat buckle collar is going to pay off in spades.
Oh my God. She'll have what appears to be like superhuman control over them.
Yes.
Like, it will actually look not real to people.
But most dog trainers do the opposite.
Right.
The prong collar goes on for everything.
Yeah.
And the dog looks great, but the second you take it off, it's back to where it was.
Well, that's the fear. Again, the insecurity about removing reinforcement through rewards too. It's like they're afraid to do the bare bones, me and the dog, what's really going on between us with no fluff. Let's get that so strong that when we add the other shit in, it's just like crazy. It's unreal.
Yeah.
You
know? No, we couldn't be on more of the same page. So, out of all the things we talked about today, if there's one thing that hurts your heart to see or you'd like to change in the pet dog world, what would it be?
The understanding of the difference between behavioral modification and management. That's literally all I mean.
Where do you think the big difference falls there?
Behavioral modification implies that something in the dog's heart changed. That left to his own devices without human tampering, minimal constraints, he is actively making different decisions based on his emotions and his thoughts.
That's what you just said, the key word. He's making the decisions.
Right. He is a free acting agent. He has free will. And by the way, I'm not, again, someone's going to take this and go, well, Dylan's saying that aggression cases should be running around in public pools with kids. Like, no, you're like within the realm of reason.
Yes.
Right. And this is part of our job. This is supposed to be part of our job. We're supposed to evaluate the dogs and in the context of their environment and their lives.
Yes.
But when you take a dog with behavioral issues and put a muzzle on him and hide him at the edge of the park and make him lay down for food.
Yeah.
All you did was steal his weapons.
Yes.
And when you give him a chance again, he will wield them. And this is where people go, wow, it just like came out of nowhere. His genetics must be just fried and like, oh my God. And the irony is, I will get people that do this to dogs that accuse me of creating time bombs. And this is projection through admission, to be clear, where they know what ends up with their dogs. So they're assuming it must be happening to mine.
Right.
But if you modify the behavior, it endures when they go home. And by the way, no one has a 100% success rate or ever will. When you're mixing it up with really dangerous dogs, you cannot, like, there are going to be times where it doesn't work, and you just have to accept that.
Sure.
But the best chance that you have to give the dogs is a real life or the closest approximation to that, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like when you were saying getting a dog to lay on the floor is not impressive if you're like forcing it and he looks like shit. It's the same thing. You can't brag that this dog hasn't bitten anybody in a month when he hasn't had an opportunity.
Yeah.
Show me that dog like playing with his owners out off leash. Show me that dog walking through public on a retractable leash with no muzzle on.
And until you do, it's bullshit.
Total.
Plain and simple.
Lies.
Until you do that, it's bullshit.
And I have had, and again, I want to reissue this. The vast majority of response to my training I get is overwhelmingly positive. Like crazy. It's like 99 to 1. But in the one, I have had trainers call me reckless for playing with dogs off leash, like dogs that have bite histories.
Sure.
And the reason why, I mean, there's two major reasons. They could never conceive of actually having control over a dog, and they don't believe dogs can change.
Yeah.
That second one, that whole like, well, no, a dog, like if he's reactive, like this is just, it's an immutable characteristic. It's reactivity isn't actually a problem to fix. It's just a lifestyle like that. That's insane.
I came into a fallout with someone that I was always been friendly with for a long time on social media because they made a comment that once a dog is aggressive, you could never change him. And I respectfully disagreed, and I explained why I disagreed, and it wound up going really bad. Well, I became the bad guy.
This is my question. This is my question for anybody that's running a $12,000 behavioral modification program where you know it's just management. Why are you selling the program? Why are you calling it behavioral modification?
Right.
And what's a really interesting phenomenon that I've run into is I've actually, in conversation, usually these people are very quick to block, and I'll try really hard just to have a conversation. Some of them will actually admit it, that the furthest that these dogs can go is management. If that's your take, cool. I completely disagree. Why are you putting behavioral modification expert on your page?
There's people out there that charge 20 grand for a board and train.
And what are you even getting? So if it's behavioral modification, I tell people you can expect basic obedience, usually done poorly, and a muzzle.
Right.
And this is one of those just train the dog. Okay, dude. So if your answer to a severe behavioral issue is just train the dog, what is the difference between that program and the program you would run with a 6-month-old golden retriever?
Let me ask you this. This is going to be very personal.
Yeah.
You going through TWC has had a massive impact on you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Massive, but like it shows. What makes you different from the other people that have been certified that aren't able to accomplish what you're accomplishing?
I have a death wish, not literally, but the way that I interact with the dogs, I am just so obsessed with the outcome and what happens with the dog and his, like, saving him, that I will put myself willingly in the line of fire with gear on mostly. I mean, sometimes I get carved up, but like, I think that the way that I engage with the dogs is so honest to a level that I don't necessarily recommend people do. And you have to have the personality type for it. You just have to. That there is something going on. I don't think that there's like a magical connection with the dogs. I'm not one of these guys. But like the dogs can tell that this guy is just laying it all out.
See, like, I was going to correct you for your answer.
What were you going to say?
I was going to tell you what it was. I know why you stand out from the others. But you just said it. And to simplify things, you're not scared of what that dog's going to do to you.
Literally 0%.
That's what sets you apart. That's what people don't understand. And I'm going to explain something to you. I know a young lady that works for a rescue with really serious dogs, like bad, like no joke, fucking mostly pit bulls, right? And some of these dogs are so dangerous, but around her, they're butter. Like they don't, like she could handle all of them. And I've had conversations with her where I told her, listen, what you're doing is amazing. I've worked with her a lot. And I said, but what scares me for you is you're so out of the realm of thinking of the danger. You just don't, it doesn't even cross your mind. But eventually there's going to be that dog that sees things differently. That's what scares me for her. I'll give you an example. I've worked with some of the difficult dogs where we've done great. She's done great things, and I've been able to take it a little further and show, yeah, this is a great dog. Like what it's been labeled is not there. But then there was one dog where I was like, that dog can never be placed, and you should put it down. And she was like, really? I'm like, 100%. It's not safe.
Right.
Never to go to a home. And she couldn't believe I was saying that because it's not something I say lightly.
Right.
And she's like, why would you think that? I was like, I'm going to show you. And so I put the bite suit on and we were having a casual conversation. Like, I'm not trying to provoke the dog or like get it fired. We're just hanging out talking. And in no time, phew, full bite on the groin, like legitimate. I said, there you go. You know what I mean? Like, that was one time where I knew this was not a safe dog. As to where some of the others, I was like, I don't give a fuck what anyone told you. We could make this a great dog. And we have accomplished, like, she's accomplished that. I just kind of helped a little bit along the way. But what I see in you is one thing you have over a lot of the people I see. And I've been there once before, Dylan, and I don't have it anymore. And I'm not even, I think as I get older, I'm smarter.
Yeah. 100%.
But when I was your age, I loved it so much. I wasn't scared of any dog.
Yeah.
And so I could take on dogs that people say there's no way you're going to handle this dog. And it was never an issue because I had no fear. But somewhere along the line, I got a little smarter. And once I knew what these dogs were capable of, I changed the way I looked at them. You know what I mean? And that's as honest an answer as I can give. Here's the other thing. Tell me if you agree or disagree. And I don't want you to base your answer off what I say.
Sure.
I hold many people in the dog training world to a very high regard. And I respect the giants that we stand on very much. So I'm always big on giving credit to people that maybe sometimes people don't do. Like, it's very important to me. Like, I've learned from really great people, you know, but mostly sport dog people that I've taken into the pet dog world to benefit myself. I tell people all the time, and I get a lot of shit for this. I tell people that I believe Ivan is a better trainer in the behavioral side with difficult dogs than he is a sport dog trainer. And people fucking rip me apart from that. What's your take on that?
He's a behavioral expert. Like,
Yeah.
that's just straight up.
Yeah.
So like if there is something involving a dog, I mean, and he's also addicted to the sport. Like, he
Yes.
loves IGP. Like, the dude is like religious about IGP, and
Sure.
he also loves to nerd out about the rules and like like seriously loves it. But the true reality of what he's seeing is the behavior of the dogs.
But people only see the sport dog side.
Yes. Oh, for sure. And I've said it to him before, and I've talked about this before, that like when I signed up for the course, I was like, man, am I signing up for like a fucking Malinois IGP course on accident? I'm like, and I was thinking, like, this could easily be a shelter pit bull course. This could easily be a severe regression rehabilitation course.
Sure.
This could easily be a traumatized shutdown dog course. Like, that's what he has a fascination in dog behavioral generally and expresses it throughout varying fields.
Yeah.
So I think that, and again, this is just sort of speculation, he has a lot of outlets to geek out about like IGP and stuff.
Yeah.
And the last time I was there, he like went full throttle nerd out on this really weird aggression case he has right now with me. And I could feel like the passion. It's like the same with IGP. But the uniting factor is there's a dog involved. It's just a dog, and he gets fascinated about the behavior generally. You know.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, I agree. But I think I tend to look at things a little deeper than a lot of people do because, like you, I'm a complete nerd, and after 28 years, I spend 7 days a week obsessed with learning more.
Yeah.
Obsessed. You know, like, and I'm not saying that lightly. My family will tell you it's really fucking annoying. You know, so I don't see me ever stopping. You know what I mean? So, Dude, we're literally over 3 hours now, and it feels like we just started.
I know, it's crazy.
So tell me, and not even joking, I looked at the numbers on one of my other devices. They're through the roof on this live.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, like it's embarrassing.
The
Like,
maniacs are out. My boys.
yeah.
My
So
homies.
once you see how many people like literally watch this, like you're gonna be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, cool.
So we'll start to wrap it up so we don't stay on. I don't keep you on
Sure.
all night, but I've enjoyed this. I really look forward to this. I really did. I don't ask too many people to come on a live, but once I heard you say, yeah, I would definitely accept Larry's, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
People will love it. And here's the reason why, Dylan. I could say all I can say. I could try to convince people. You can, Jay can, Ivan can, a lot of people can. But the more people we get to really jump on, look, like this is really important that we give the dogs these basic needs, which we're all on the same page with.
Yeah.
Hopefully we convince more and more people and we start seeing better stuff going on in the pet dog world, you know? If there's one thing you haven't done yet or looking forward to getting to or want to accomplish, what would it be?
So I went on the human aggression thing for like a year and a half. And that's diving into the deep end because it doesn't get much more serious than that, you know? I mean, all dogs are different, but I ran the whole cycle from like this dog's defensively biting to this dog is looking for a reason to fight, you know? And I do think that is my favorite thing to deal with. But I'm seriously considering right now attacking this reactivity thing because the reactivity industry, like this whole like world that's been created around it, is such a sham. And I think you were talking about it recently where you were like, this is like borderline not a behavioral issue. It's so easy to address.
So easy. You're going to get bored with it very fast.
Larry, that's literally what's happening with this dog that I have right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, this dog has been treated like a fucking monster since the day she was born. And there is nothing wrong with this dog that was not inflicted by mankind.
Sure.
And I'm looking at this dog and I'm like, okay, yeah, it would be great to just mix it back up with these really out of control dogs. But I kind of want to take a stab at this and show people like, yo, you're not doomed to having your dog suffer this and embarrass you and frustrate you and hurt you for the rest of your fucking lives.
Yeah.
So I may do that, but I'm also seriously considering focusing on more shut down insecure dogs because I think that's probably where the most intense challenge lies. Those are usually the most
in my
challenging dogs.
opinion, that is the toughest dog to deal with.
Yes, like the most
but
challenging.
also the most rewarding.
Yeah, oh, for sure, because the changes when they happen are so obvious. But the most challenging dog that I've ever trained was a cattle dog named Charlie, and he was extremely human aggressive. But that wasn't actually the challenge. This was a dog that woke up every day hating himself, hating his life. And you had him outside, and he was like, I would rather, if you left him to his own devices, he would crawl in a hole and just lay there for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
So that type of shut down, almost like to a level where the dog doesn't know he's a dog anymore.
Yeah.
That is something I also want to just like go straight into. And I'm fortunate because of my outreach, I can be really picky and be like, yo, does anybody have a dog like this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I can focus on that. So those are two things I'm floating around. You know,
well, I could tell you what, yeah, the reactivity thing you get bored with fast because it's
not a thing.
It's so easy, dude.
Yeah,
it is.
Not a thing.
The other thing is when you take a dog that hates itself and fears the boogeyman, it becomes so rewarding. There'll be times you'll be brought to tears.
Yeah,
for real.
Yeah,
you know that. To me, sometimes it's scary to deal with because you don't want to let people down. You don't want to let the dog down. And it seems almost an impossible task. But the second you get that glimmer of life, it's like, this is why I do this. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, this is, why do I even get paid to do this? I do this for free.
Right.
You know? So all of those things are going to be things that you experience over the next year or two because, like I said, you're the shiny toy. It's straight up. If you had to do one dog sport, what would it be?
Mondio ring.
Why?
Because it's pet obedience dialed up to like 5 billion. And it's messy and it's ridiculous. And the level of preparation. That's the only way that I can make obedience interesting to myself is by coming up with weird shit. And that's basically what Mondio Ring is. It's just like random bullshit.
If you had to pick one dog just to have as your sidekick pet dog, what breed would it be?
Definitely not German Shepherd. Hey, shelter pit bull.
You want to know something, dude? Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Like 100%.
They want someone that understands them.
Yes.
That's literally it.
If you had to pick one dog to compete with, what breed would it be?
One dog to compete with?
Yes. Mondio Ring.
I've never thought of that. I've literally never thought of that before. That's a really good one. I imagine everyone does mals, right? I've got to be a hipster. What's like a weird off breed?
Giant Schnauzer.
Giant Schnauzer. Fuck it. Lock it in. Let's do it.
Nice. Favorite album of all time?
Seventh Son of a Seventh Son by Iron Maiden. I'm a big heavy metal guy.
Favorite movie of all time?
The Shawshank Redemption.
Nice. Good choice. Dream concert that you never got to go to?
Oh, shit. Fuck. I don't know. We can lock in like a Leonard Skinner because everyone in that band just like gets killed.
Fucking awesome. You ever see the documentary on them on Netflix?
No, but that band, I imagine it's great because that
Dude,
band is like,
one of my favorite documentaries of all time. Watch it.
Yeah, that for sure. That's
like
crazy
fucking
story.
awesome. Favorite song of all time?
Oh shit! Hallowed be thy name by Iron Maiden. Lock that in. I'm a metalhead.
Very nice. You ever get your back waxed?
My chest. I did one strip and I was like, no, I bled. Like I bled. Dude, I didn't know that was a thing.
Dude, you ever watch 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you something. While that movie was out around the same time frame, me and my wife were going to Vegas. I decided to get my back waxed. I go to this girl. She's doing a good job. She was very honest. It was bad. It was fucking brutally painful.
Yeah.
Then she says to me, she goes, Larry, she goes, I think it was my lower back maybe. I don't know. She goes, you know how bad it hurt up top? I was like, yeah. She goes, I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be worse. I'm like, oh, no, fuck. Are you serious? She's like, yeah, it's going to be bad. I'm like, no, don't say that. She's like, no, I'm serious. I'm like, okay. She goes, okay, you ready? I'm like, yeah. And she goes, she pulls that for, dude, I screamed and I laughed so hard because if I didn't laugh, I would have cried. Yeah. It was brutal. So when I saw the 40-Year-Old Virgin, that waxing scene, I almost pissed my pants because I lived it.
They waxed Steve Carell for that too.
For real, I know.
We're doing this.
Fucking killed me.
But yeah, they did. I lost a bet. It was high school. Did it in the gymnasium. They did one strip on my chest, and I was like my vision turned white. Like my vision turned white. I walked around the rest of the day. There was a blood stain. You know how like a dramatic scene in a movie where someone gets shot in the blood.
I bled fucking bad, dude.
I was like, dude, I didn't know it was. Yeah, it was something
bled bad. Look, here's the deal. I'm about to piss my pants. I can't go on much longer. And I drank a half a bottle of whiskey. Actually, 3/4 a bottle.
Yeah.
This was awesome. Like, I love what you're doing. Don't stop.
Thank you.
The dog training world needs it. Just know they're going to come for you. There's going to be people who try to take you down. Read the 4 agreements.
4 agreements?
Not big on. If a book has impact on me, it's important. Read the 4 agreements.
I think I average a book a decade, so I think
it's simple, but
that's good.
That's so good powerful and so relative to what we do. Like, just think of it. But I don't want you to stop doing what you're doing, dude. It's important and it's very, very much needed. Keep doing it. This was awesome. The numbers tonight, dude, is off the charts. Like, I've never seen a live have this many people check in. Not even kidding.
Yeah, the day-to-day maniacs, they don't let me down. Love you guys, big ups. Big ups in the chat. But yeah, I mean, this was really fun. I mean, this is why I was like, yeah, I would go on Larry's show
Yeah,
anytime.
this is
I knew
awesome.
I knew
This was even better than I expected because here's the thing, Dylan, no bullshit. You know, I don't want to just entertain people. I want us to be able to give something to help them.
right. Yeah, for
Because
sure.
the more people we help, the more dogs can be helped. And that's all I give a fuck about. Like
Yeah.
straight up, not even fucking around, you know?
And even just causing someone to be curious is
Sure.
enough for me. That's literally it. Like
Absolutely.
I needed that to happen to me too. I needed to have a moment where I was like, maybe you can just do different things. Like
Yeah.
literally. Like I I am not in a position of authority, but if anyone needs to hear this, you have general permission as a human being to experiment and try things.
Well, you kind of are in a position of authority now because you're putting out the proof. That's the proof creates authority. You understand?
For now, because I'm literally in an empty vacuum because no one shows dogs. What
Yeah.
my dream is that people start showing dogs that have insane levels of talent, and then it's like, okay, I'm totally cool.
Most won't because they can't.
Right, yeah. But
And
if there's the incentive there, where the consumer and the dog training world generally starts saying, "Hey, you've been talking a lot. You are not going to convince me you can't afford a $13 tripod. So either you show something or we don't listen." Now you've
listen,
created an
I,
incentive
I
structure where something has to happen.
I literally made a video not long ago with all the money people love spending on dog stuff.
Yeah.
Invest in a tripod. Best dog training tool there is.
Yeah. Watch it back. Watch your stuff back. I watch my stuff back all the time.
That's it. And listen, for those that talk so much, just show it. Just listen. The best ammunition we have against the force-free haters and the radicals and the lunatics, just show better work.
Right.
Like it's that simple. People hate e-collars. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever your ideology is, just show the work. Show the dog.
Well, that's a sort of a guilty pleasure of mine, though I do think it is overall good for the culture of dog training. My videos have this sort of side effect of causing force-free people to admit that they hate dogs. Like you are literally saying this dog is an over arousal psycho. He's suffering because he's excited playing ball.
Yeah,
And you're
for
saying
real.
that in a public forum where dog trainers are reading it and
No.
dog owners are reading it, right?
That's it.
So if I can just post what's going on, the good and the bad, and it causes masks to slip and people to go, actually, no, your dog shouldn't be happy, I'm glad, because that's just the free market of information. The customer will be informed. And unfortunately, the customer has a bias towards wanting their dog to be happy.
Yeah.
So we will see how that pans out.
Well, 2 of the 4 agreements are don't take nothing personal, right? And be impeccable with your words.
That's
And
rough. Yeah, that's
being impeccable with your words is something that I often fail with, you know?
And unfortunately, this is very personal for me.
Yeah, for
Very,
real.
very personal. I care too much. Like the dogs, I know how easy it is to help the ones that are struggling the most.
Sure.
And if you are actively proud, standing in defiance of the dogs getting better, that is personal to me.
Sure. No, I get it.
So that is a huge motivator for me.
Yeah. Just keep doing what you're doing, and like I said, when you're at the top of the tree, they're going to try to shake you down. And that's great advice that I got from someone that I respect very much. And right now, that's you. So be careful, keep doing what you're doing, and turn off all the noise and always think, what do the dogs need at this time? Is what I'm saying, what am I doing? Is it benefiting dogs or is it benefiting me? And that's something I still fail with a lot, Dylan. Sometimes, depending what kind of mood I'm in, I can be like, none of this noise matters, right? But if I'm in the wrong state of mind, I'm like, I'm going to fire back pretty hard. And then I always regret it. And my wife says, why? Why? They got you. They won. They baited you in. So you're doing great things, dude. And just keep doing what you're doing, because the dog training community needs you very much. And I hope that you pass on what you're doing to someone a little younger than you and inspire someone else to keep going, because that's what we need. It's that simple. All right there, buddy?
Yeah. That's the dream. But yeah, for sure. This was really fun. Thank you for having me on.
Listen, this was 3.5 hours. I can go on for another 3.5 hours if I wasn't going to piss my pants.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, seriously. Another time then.
Yeah, you got it, buddy. Thanks, Dylan. Thanks for doing this. And I'll be in touch, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay, pal?
I'll keep going all out.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for sticking on here for so long. So many of you. Appreciate y'all. This is a good young guy here. Follow what he's doing. Go join his Patreon. He puts really good. It's not sexy and exciting bullshit. It's real world valuable information, and that's what's important in the dog training world, and that's what we don't see enough of. Okay. All right, Dylan. Peace out, brother. Peace, everybody. I'm going to go take a leak now, and y'all have a good night. See you, pal.
See you guys.